Alrighty, yes, everybody, you know what time it is. We already have 50 in the house. Fan show time, people. Everybody, hit the link. The fan show link is up in the community section for all you members. Dave is not going to be joining us tonight, like maybe he said before. He is spending a time celebrating, I believe, his Nan's birthday, and then as well, he also has I think a time that maybe he needs to spend as well with his mom that he doesn't get to always spend too while he's over in London. And so everybody do wish Dave well. I think he should be having some good time away, but he will be back, I believe, Wednesday. So everybody, keep kind of Dave in mind, but also as well, as Harry Kane seems to be more protected, than maybe he would have thought. I thought maybe he even went to England in the first place just to meet up with Harry Kane to decide whether he was going to be flying to London with him, staying there, of course, or be actually flying off to Munich with his beloved Harry Kane. But everybody, we're going to be talking about plenty of things today. We're going to be talking about Harry Kane's future. We're going to be kind of discussing kind of, I believe, the David Ornstein news that's just come out that said that I guess Spurs have officially rejected yet again another bid from Bayern Munich. I wonder how many we have actually officially rejected. I wonder if we'll ever get a number at a certain stage. Maybe it's more than 3, 4, or 5, because he even said that Spurs have been rejecting in his athletic article. They've been rejecting articles from like sort of, I think it was like June through July, and then they've just rejected the most recent one, which makes it quite funny. But two as well, I would say that if he is actually going to be able to board that Barcelona plane, and if he does board that Barcelona plane, does that basically mean he's staying? Is that sort of a sure way of thinking about maybe his future here at Spurs? And are you disappointed if he's staying? Because even if he is going to stay beyond this summer transfer window, he could still end up leaving on a free. If you haven't checked out the video I just posted about sort of the news that have just come about and why I think that's actually not all that much of a loss if we end up seeing him go on a free the following summer, is maybe just quickly to summarize, is that I think Spurs really just sort of have two problems really to deal with this summer. They of course have the Harry Kane problem in his sort of future, but they also had the problem with the goalkeeper, the center backs, the midfield, the attack, and sort of replacing people like Danjuma and Lucas Bergvine of the past. They had to bring in creative midfielders like Madison. They had to sort of switch gears to maybe a more kind of progressive, technical type midfield. That's why we're seeing this redemption arc of Gio Lo Celso and other players. And then also, too, the back line and the goalkeeper just needed a complete revamp. I mean, I've never seen probably more of a rebuild needed with a big team like sort of at least a top 5, top 6 team like maybe Spurs have in a long time. The most goals we've conceded, I believe, since kind of maybe the mid 90s or early 90s, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was even before I was born. That's how many goals we have actually conceded, or at least the record that we broke. And that was even a 42 game season that we actually matched as well, which just makes it even more crazy. But I just sort of felt like Spurs had so much to deal with, regardless of whether Harry Kane sort of stayed or went. And it sort of means then that Spurs can kind of break it into two sort of parts. It feels like we can look at the Harry Kane situation as sort of its own problem, look at the defense, the midfield, etc., as its other problem. And Spurs probably needed to spend around 100 million pounds to fix that current situation, that current problem with the midfield and the attack and the defense. And it's probably going to take another maybe 100 million. Who knows what it's going to take to fix the Harry Kane problem in itself. So I'd rather us kind of do our due diligence kind of during this time, maybe if Harry Kane's staying and kind of still deciding whether he wants to stay or go. And then we can kind of think about which players we want to spend the big money on and want to kind of think about replacing him in the future, such as the Gift Orbans, the Kolo Muani, and stuff of the world. And also as well, we're going to, of course, I think, talk about the Shakhtar Donetsk game. There's definitely, that to speak about. What more, did you learn from the Postecoglou system? A lot of people seem even more sort of excited, despite all the sort of Harry Kane kind of drama. They seem even more excited about what Postecoglou could bring. But I think there's still maybe some negatives to point out. We did kind of discuss the goal conceded and sort of what it's going to take, I think, for this sort of back line to not concede nearly as many goals as they did last season, because we are going to be playing a bit more of a kind of a dangerous type of style, that's for sure. And then it's also season prediction time, everybody. Let's talk about where Spurs will finish. Let's talk about whether anybody has any sort of inklings of a domestic trophy push, all that sort of good stuff when it comes to season prediction time definitely is needed, because the next time I think we speak to you on this fan show, we're going to be, speaking post Brentford, if I'm not mistaken. Let's talk about our top scorers. Let's get our most assists. Who's going to be the most creative? Who's going to be the lethal goal scorer? And we're also going to talk about the surprise of the season, the disappointment of the season as well. And I think that's actually a good one because I think you could say maybe surprise of the season could have been someone like a Fraser Forster. He ended up, in some people's case, being kind of like the signing of the season. I guess that we got that bad of an ending that it sort of felt like Fraser Forster was in fact the signing of the season, and maybe the disappointment of the season last season was probably someone like a Richarlison. You could even say Basuma, whether it be Conte's fault or his fault, is up to you, but still was a huge disappointment considering how much people rated him. So those sort of kind of season predictions. So plenty to talk about, everybody. So feel free to come on, grab that link. It's in the community section there for all of you members. Let's just get to the chat a little quickly here, and then we'll get this show going. We have Leo Lan Lego, love the name, saying, "Come on, you Spurs." Gamer16 says, "If Van de Ven hits the ground running, we could be in the top three. Udoji, the standout player." I think Udoji could be actually one of the good answers for that surprise package of the season. Gamer16, we have Prashant Ghidorah saying, "If we objectively look at other teams in the top five, we should be comfortably sitting at number 4 if the defense somehow figure the shiz out. Top 3. Wow. I mean, I'm loving this. People are happy clapping even more than I expected, myself to at this stage. I'm going to have to meet at your level here, everybody. Absolutely love it, Ghidorah. We also have Dan Davenport, who we'll be speaking to later. He says, "I hope top 4 and maybe us winning either a League Cup or an FA Cup." So we'll be asking Dan later if he's going to be pushing for a trophy. Terry Betts says Spurs to finish in the top 5. I feel like I'm going to be bit of a negative Nancy kind of on this show when I give some of my predictions with where maybe Spurs will finish. I just sort of feel like I'm not yet convinced with where we are with the defense. I'm not yet convinced with, some of the outgoings. I'm going to need to see more Sanchez, more Rodon, more kind of dire links and stuff out of the club in order for me to really, really, I'm kind of already ready to start happy clapping, but to get on that sort of level of top 4, I think I'm going to need to see more outgoings, but I'm looking forward to being convinced. Big up to you, Terry Betts. Big up to the rest of you guys. We also have Echo in the house saying, "Come on, you Spurs boys and girls. King Kane forever." Darren Kilbane is also in the house. And big up to you, Darren. He says, "We need center backs, maybe 2 after Van de Ven. If Højbjerg does need an upgrade or him in midfield, and hopefully Kane stays, I think we could get 4th and hopefully a cup standout, maybe a player like Madison." I feel like if we are going to let go of Højbjerg, it's sort of not as dramatic as letting go Kane, but it is kind of the same situation of you are going to have to find a really good replacement. You can't just let go of Højbjerg and think it's not going to be, sort of one that's going to be felt or one that's going to be sort of easy, to see go by or see, to see depart. And I think actually Spurs, the way you look at it, Højbjerg has probably played almost more games than even Harry Kane has. I mean, he's probably played practically as many goals or as many games as some of the goalkeepers have. So I feel like Højbjerg, you're going to have to find somebody that's better than him because he's been a very divisive player. I mean, a lot of people feel like Højbjerg, like myself, is, our Viking. We all love him. And then there's some that think, he's a complete imposter and they think he's a complete flappy arm merchant and all this sort of funny taglines and whatnot. So we need to find somebody that's going to convince them, I think, the whole fan base that Højbjerg is the right one. Big up to yourself, though, Darren. We have Ricky Nato in the house saying, "Evening, my Spurs family. Top 4 with Kane. I believe let's get behind the boys. Come on, you Spurs." Love that, Ricky. Always get behind them. Colin Turner is 2 in the house. He says Kane stays. Another center back top 4 standout, either Madison or Udoji is sort of maybe the big players of the season. Love that, Colin. Good to see you, Stefan, as well, saying, "Why haven't we announced the new player?" I have the Valise video ready, Stefan or Steven, but I feel like maybe Spurs, they sort of have to do all the media stuff, the as well as maybe the timing of kind of the media stuff. It sort of feels like they enjoy, kind of making us wait, as well as maybe they want to think about, do they announce Valise first? Do they announce Mickey Van de Ven first? I feel like all that sort of stuff is it's kind of silly and as stupid as it is. I'm not kidding. I do feel like they actually think about that stuff quite heavily, and so we probably might have to wait quite long for that sort of committee, whether it be Daniel Levy involved in it or not. Which sort of signing they want to unveil. Maybe they're going to unveil them both at once. I'm not too sure. Jackson saying we're going to be finishing between 7th and 10th. I'm not going that far down the table, but I'm sort of close to there. Big up to you, Jackson. We have Wayne Bonner in the house. Big up to you, my man. He says, "Good evening, everyone. Hope you're all pumped up for the game tomorrow." We absolutely are, Wayno, and we're hoping to get maybe a bit of a, better clue as to who's going to get, maybe the starting positions, for the upcoming game against Brentford. Can you read into maybe who's boarding that plane to Barcelona? Maybe Harry Kane. Is he, boarding that plane to Barcelona? Does that mean he's going to be starting against Brentford? A lot of good questions coming up here, Wayno. Big up to you, my friend. Says PJ, he says, I absolutely love looking back at Dave's predictions at the end of the year. Last season, Spurs won the transfer window and signed on an elite manager. Break that down quickly. I would say for the most part, felt like everybody was sort of, high and mighty, about where maybe Spurs would finish. I very like, if you really do go back at a lot of people's predictions, whether they even liked Conte or not, felt like everybody was sort of saying top four, or higher. I very, I'll be honest, like, most podcasts, most kind of big name, sort of kind of people much bigger than us. I felt like, that were probably even less enthusiastic about Conte than we were. We're still saying, kind of top four. And then two, on top of that, I would maybe argue that Antonio Conte is still an elite manager and is maybe alongside plenty of other managers in the past that have been let down by a lackluster defense, a defensive, in my opinion, kind of dross and imposters that pretty much aren't going to work at any sort of standard that's acceptable if we were going to really compete for trophies or top four. And I personally feel like Antonio Conte was let down heavily by the lack of investment in the defense, but I also understand that Antonio Conte also got a lot wrong. In fact, he did set us back in some ways when it comes to the youth department, especially the youth department, I would say, and also maybe some of the other kind of players sort of let's say initial kind of tenures at Spurs. I think he hurt Richarlison's, I think he hurt Basuma's. I think there's also you could say Jed Spence's, but it looks like he's headed out the door anyway, so maybe that wasn't entirely on Conte, but kind of players like that too. So I think it's a bit more kind of a balance. Big up to you, PJ. I love that. Getting me going. Absolutely love that. Martin Nightbridge is in the house as well, saying, Hola, lads from Spain. What would I say? Is Buena suerte? No, that's good luck. What do I say? Buenas noches. There you are, Martin. Hopefully you're keeping well. Hopefully, maybe if you're on the coastal side of Spain, you have some nice coastal tapas ready, or maybe if you're kind of in the central parts of Spain, maybe some chorizo, some nice Iberia ham, all that good stuff. Big up to you, my friend. Mick Hermelach's in the house too. Good to see him. Mick Hotspur J says, big up, everyone. Looking forward to finally starting the season and playing attacking football. Good times. Kane to stay too. Come on, you Spurs. Love that, Hotspur J. Agree with all of it. Dunkle Z Torque says, big up, Dave and Jack. I expect some Kane love tonight. Big up to you, Dunkle Z Torque. I've given my Kane love. I've defended his honor. And also, if anybody hasn't heard, I have, kind of a bit of a story that I did mention on the watch along where I was, post Harry Kane deadline where we had that Friday night deadline. People were streaming, at Friday night, at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, thinking Harry Kane was gonna leave and that the bid was gonna come in. I decided to, kind of rest easy, have a nice little, stay in with the missus, and then woke up very, very early because I went to bed nice and early. Wore my Harry Kane kit, went a nice little run around Prospect Park, and was asked multiple times on that run about Harry Kane's future and everything. And I just continued to sing, he's one of our own. He's one of our own. Harry Kane. He's one of our own. And when you're reaching, like the 4 mile mark, you really start to, use that as that extra adrenaline if you need it. So big up to you, Dunkel Z Torque. I've been defending his name. And I think Dave, while he has been gone, at least till Wednesday, he's probably been quite proud of my efforts, defending his man, defending his own Harry Kane. Tequila 316 says, I am very happy to be here. I support your war of terror. Pick up to Levy for being a stubborn C. I actually missed that term. I wish people sometimes use that more. I forget what movie that originally came from. Big up to you. Tequila says, big up, Jacko. I hope your hands are not too sore after all the claps you've been doing. I'm sort of soon to happy clap. I haven't been happy clapping as hard as I probably will be at some stage this season. Big up to you, Tequila. Drew Law's in the house as well. Good evening, Jack, and all in the chat. Big up to you. We also have John here. He says, hey, mate, I did predict a trophy or at least a final. Do you see that as a possibility a month later? I see Ange really pushing for a domestic trophy because we have the time to do it. We have, maybe more time than other teams to really prepare and focus on them. And I don't see us slipping up against some of those kind of League Two, League One championship sides as much as kind of you might see some of the other kind of bigger teams do. But at the same time, you do end up coming up against, a Man City. You do end up coming up against an Arsenal, a Chelsea, at these kind of bigger stages. And do we have the metal to be able to do it under Ange? I hope so. And I guess we'll, see what we're made of. But I do imagine that he will prioritize a cup also because I think it'd be kind of the cherry on top in terms of trying to convince Kane that he's, worth, keeping around, or that he's worth actually, sorry, should I say, trusting a big Ange. Jules says, big up. Jack, big up to you, Jules. Hopefully you're keeping well, my friend. Wayne Bonner says 5th or 6th place finish and a final. I would love to be in a domestic cup final. Am I wrong that saying Pochettino or maybe some recent manager push very hard for actually a domestic cup. In one of his first seasons, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody's gonna, I guess, tell me that later in the chat. Big up to you, Jacob Anderson, saying, "What do you think Spurs would do with Valise?" It looks like I think we're keeping him at least for the time being. I imagine that Postecoglou is sort of the guy that's going to be. How would you put it? Like he. I don't. I know we kind of put Udoji back on loan. Other players that we bought, we put back on loan like Papa Matasar, but I feel like maybe Ange is kind of the guy that likes to at least have a look at the player, even if he knows he's still a player for the future. So the way I see it is, Ange just didn't really want to just immediately send him back on loan. He probably just wanted to have a look at the guy, and he's maybe going to get some sort of minutes in training, I imagine, but I don't know how soon he's going to be featuring the first team. But big up to you, Jacob. Good to see you in the house. Michael says, top three. Guys, calm down. Barcelona match will show you where we are at. The Barcelona match also, too, I guess, is going to be an interesting one because that could be the game where we start negotiating for Clement Longley if maybe some funds maybe aren't available to push for more center backs. So who's to know if the winner ends up getting Clement Longley, or you could say, and people don't like Clement Longley, the loser could end up getting Clement Longley. But big up to you, Michael. Top three. Yeah, I'm not going that far, but I am kind of in the top six region. That's where I sort of am at. Big up to you, my man. We also have Nolan in the house. He says, I think Solomon's going to outplay Son. Interesting. That's definitely a surprise or kind of bold prediction. I should add that to the list of the kind of questions for you guys for the season prediction time. Big up to you, Madsy, saying, what do you think about offering Hill, Spence, and Rodon to Forest for Brennan Johnson? I'd be surprised if we're offering all three of those players to Forest for Brennan Johnson. I imagine it's probably a couple or maybe one of them for and then plus some cash for Brennan Johnson. Throwing three players at once to Nottingham Forest for Brennan Johnson seems like a bit of a ridiculous kind of move, if you ask me. I think there's going to need to be some more info on that one. Big up to you, Hennessy. Hopefully you're keeping well this evening, my friend. Big up to you, Jacob, as well. Hopefully you're keeping well this evening. Feel free as well, Jacob, to let me know if you want to come on the show at some stage. We also have Free Ange saying Basuma has been perfect. The general starting attacks and defending. Yeah, absolutely love it. Steve D's in the house. Hoiberg detractors. Who on earth would they be, Jack? Evening, mate. I mean, it's honestly the most divisive player, I think, in at least my lifetime, if I'm not mistaken, Steve D. I would say Emerson at one stage was probably one of the more, I don't even know if he was divisive. I would just say it's just been polar shifts, between everybody loving Emerson to everybody hating Emerson to everybody loving Emerson again. But I mean, Hoiberg, easily one of the most, kind of divisive players. I'm trying to think of somebody currently in the squad that's also kind of similarly kind of divisive, where everybody either thinks he's, the greatest thing on earth, or other people think he's the biggest imposter. But somebody let me know in the chat. Big up to you all, though. I'm trying to make sure I'm not missing anybody who just joined us. Big up to you, Ewan. Hopefully you're keeping well. Amy is in the house as well. Good afternoon. Shock Spurs didn't take the money and send him to Bayern. Spurs need another center back. The way I see it, Amy, and I did kind of explain it in my video just recently, is that I think Spurs, regardless of whether Kane, stayed or went, needed to fix that back line, majorly. It needs a major overhaul, major revamp. And so the way I see it is Spurs kind of, whether Kane wanted to go, thought about going, wanted to stay, they needed to fix that back line. It's the worst defensive season we've ever had since kind of the mid 90s. And the way you see it that way is that you just kind of fix it no matter whether Kane is staying or going. And I don't think we should be using kind of the Kane money to fix it, or, using one of our best players to fix it. But big up to you, Amy. Hopefully you're keeping well. Again, making sure I'm not missing anybody. We have Video in the house. Good to see you, Video. Tin's in the house. Good to see you, Tin. Wolf Maller's in the house. Good to see you, Wolf. Hopefully you're keeping well this evening, my friend. Lazy Eight's in here saying, what did it? Rick Astley saying, never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you go. Harry Kane, you're stuck here. I feel like I'm missing the tune on that one, but I think people have probably gotten sick of my singing at a certain stage. I think, people know that, I'm probably the most gifted of the singers between Dave and I. Kidding. I actually think Dave's actually, Dave actually does have a fair voice on him from time to time. I think he should use it more than I do, because it feels like maybe I'm more comfortable with the singing, randomly, but Dave probably has a better voice than me. Daniel Larson says, evening, everybody. Good to see you, Daniel. If you want to pop on, there he is. I see you now when I'm looking down. Big up to you, Daniel. Looking forward to chatting to you later, my friend. Leslie Crawford says the only way we got in ahead of the bigger clubs in Europe was loaning Udoji and Sarr back for a year to their clubs. I guess it's part of that sort of kind of crude negotiating that we sort of go through. We kind of invent, I guess, some of these extra sort of ways to kind of bring the player through the door. Good to see you in the house, though, Leslie. We also have Ankit in the house. We have Alberto in the house. Maybe Ankit is saying that Lo Celso might be the surprise package of the season. Definitely a good one to talk about. SOF's in here as well, saying we have a really diluted fan base. Plus 6 or 7 different predictions from rival fans or neutrals. Most have Spurs 7th or 8th or 6th about the best I think we can finish. I think we are going to be finishing around 6th, personally, SOF. I would say, regardless of, whether my prediction is one that you think is right, I am deluded. I will absolutely raise my hand to being deluded. I'll raise my hand to being a happy clapper from time to time. So I guess, whether you think my predictions or my occasional opinions are deluded or not, it's just sort of kind of how I, land on things. Big up to you, though, my friend SOF. Always good to see you in the house. Jazz Jones says a lot of hate for Son last few days. Remember, he was top scorer in the Premier League 2 seasons ago. I think he's also really hungry. I think he's absolutely going for a huge redemption this season. Kev Williams is in the house. Good to see you, Kev. Hi, Jack. Hope you're keeping well, mate. I'm keeping all right. Good to see you in the house here, Kev. And we also have Boston Spurs fans saying Højbjerg is the general. The 3 midfielders should be Basuma, Højbjerg, and Madison. Perhaps swap out Lo Celso and Basuma. I actually thought maybe going into this maybe defensive, kind of minded game where we, think about Brentford as a team that could hurt us on the counter attack. Having, a Højbjerg and a Basuma as a combination is not a bad way to go about it. Big up to you, Boston Spurs fan. Hopefully you're keeping well. And Daniel Field is in the house too. Everybody, we're going to get to the, to the guests here. I'm going to sing or not sing. I'm not going to say the order aloud here. We have Brad. I think we have Tyler after that. It's going to be Dan Davenport as the third. We have Daniel Larson, and then we have the mighty KPV. But let's get into it here, everybody. And also, if you are joining us now, Dave is going to be joining us, I believe, back Wednesday, hopefully maybe for the podcast too, but he's spending time, still with his nan celebrating the birthday. And also, I think he needed an extra day, needed some extra time to spend with his mom, which, I think everybody can understand that. And everybody needs sometimes, those extra days, with time and family. And hopefully, he's keeping low and he's keeping his head out of the Harry Kane news. But at the moment, you could say it's a bit more positive than we expected. But let's talk about, some of these season predictions and plenty of the other stuff with Brad here. Big up to you, Brad.
Hello, Jack. How's it going?
Doing all right. I feel like, like I said, a few times, and I rambled on for a long time. There's a lot, that's going to need to be covered here, Brad. So I guess be prepared for, switching gears on a few different questions.
Well, first of all, yesterday was the first time I've had to see the new Spurs under Postecoglou. Apart from highlights packages, which last about 5 or 6 minutes. So, yes, that was the first time I've been able to see it. And, I thought it was very, very promising. I love the way that we attacked. I love the way that we basically, the intensity, the way we closed them down. We kept them in their own half. Mm-hmm. I thought there were promising performances from Sarr and Udogie. I thought Madison looked immense. Obviously, Harry Kane scoring 4 goals. Yeah, I thought it was very, very promising. But I do have worries. I do have worries.
Is it the same worries that you had from previous games, or is it different?
No, my first worry is we're a bit undercooked at the moment. We've played West Ham. We've played the Leicester game's called off. We were supposed to play Roma, but ended up playing the Lion City Sailors. And we played Shakhtar Donetsk yesterday. So we haven't really had a big test. I'm just worried the way that teams might be able to get behind us when we come up against a decent team. Because that happened a few times yesterday when they got behind us. And in fact, their equalising goal came from that. So I'm a little bit worried that in the early days of the season, we could be exposed, I think, to that. Whilst we're still learning the Ange Postecoglou way of playing the game. Obviously, we do need another centre-back. We need a tall centre-back, because let's face it, Davies is not the tallest player in the world, and actually nor is Romero. And Romero's not really known for being a good header of the ball. So we missed out on that typical Spurs goal that we conceded from the header. So I think that this guy, Van der Vel, he's going to be handy in that respect. But let's face it, he's only landed in the country. He's probably only had his first training session today. So I wouldn't have thought he'd be starting on Sunday against Brentford. So I'm a little bit concerned that in the early days of the season, we're going to be a little bit exposed. Now, I noticed yesterday that the best way that we defend is by basically pinning down the opposition in their own half and just having a stranglehold. And we did that very well yesterday, but we need to do it. And I think Postecoglou said that in the press conference. We need to do it for the whole 90 minutes. We can't slacken up, like we did yesterday, those 5 minutes. And this is going to take time. It's going to take time and a lot of, sort of practice and getting to do. I think Ange said the thing, didn't he? He said that at the moment they're doing what I tell them to do. But they've got to get to a situation where they do it without thinking. It becomes a natural thing. So I'm a bit worried about that. That defensively we have to pin down the other team, and that intensity, it's gonna. You can tell. You see sometimes where that intensity is going to stop, and can you keep it up for 90 minutes? We had the same problems actually with Pochettino in his first couple of seasons. That the fitness thing came into it, that they couldn't keep up the intensity for the whole 90 minutes, and in fact for the whole season. So I think we're going to be a little bit exposed in the early days of the season, and we've got to be patient. And I don't think it's a problem that one decent centre half or even two will solve. I think it's the question of learning how to defend under that system. So I think it's going to be a bit of a learning curve. But I like what I saw yesterday, and I'm confident for the future. I know we're going to get onto predictions at some stage. I'm confident for the future, but at the moment, I think it's going to be. I mean, it might be a bit of a rocky road initially.
Yeah, so you feel like there would be those sort of growing pains that come with it. But can I ask just quickly, on the game, where you're sort of saying that we did kind of start to sit back right towards the end of the first half and kind of reverting to type. Is that fitness, or is that kind of the still the code and the wiring from Conte and Mourinho still coming through there?
I think fitness probably comes into it because we've only we only just started preseason training, preseason, that sort of stuff. Haven't had a lot of game fitness either. But yeah, you're right. I think it's that mental attitude that you have to be switched on for the whole 90 minutes. And I think I don't think you saw it in the clip that they show, but when he was being interviewed on Spurs Play, he actually said that if you take a breather, then the other team takes a breather, and that's we can't allow them to do that. We've got to keep to a bit of a vulgar saying, but keep the foot on the throat type thing to keep them pinned down. So I think it might be it will be a question of a mental thing, and I really actually liked. I watched the Lionesses today, and they interviewed Chloe Kelly after she scored the winning penalty, and they asked her about did she get nervous or taking that penalty, and she said no. She said because I go there expecting to score, and she says when you get over that mental battle, you're going to score. And so I think it's a question of that. They've got to get this sort of mental thing into their heads. But as I say, I'm confident that eventually we'll see stuff happening. And I think compare. And again, as you said, they've had 2 or 3 seasons of negative football.
Yeah.
So they've got to get out of that mindset.
Two quick things still from that game, though, Brad, and then we can maybe still move on from it. They're kind of like 2 sort of tinfoil hat sort of sort of questions. One is more extreme than the other. The first one is, do you feel like that lineup we saw, is that close or pretty much a reflection of the first team that we're going to see against Brentford?
I think that'll be quite close to what we see. I mean, presuming that Harry Kane is with us against Brentford, well,
will that mean Højbjerg starting, maybe, for example, or like
I don't know. That's the one thing I was disappointed yesterday is I didn't get to see Basuma because he's been getting these rave reviews. So hopefully, I think keep going to call him Poch, but Post or Ange. I think Ange actually said that he's going to play a different team tomorrow night against Barcelona. So yeah, I think Basuma, from what I've heard, I mean the front 4 picks itself really. Kane up top, Son, Kulusevski, and Maddison. But the two holding midfielders, I think Sarr could be a decent player this season. He's not the finished article by any means, but I think he could do well. And he seems to be able to play defensively, play forward as well. So you had that situation where having the 2 fullbacks sitting in there allows the midfield to go forward and get in the box and have the shots on goal, that sort of thing. So I think that I would say that the back 4 As I said, I don't think Van der Vaart will play on Sunday because I think he needs obviously to train with the guys for a bit.
What about Barcelona?
Yeah, that's interesting. I would imagine he might. Yeah, he's. I
Imagine
imagine he
he'll be
might
on
be.
the plane.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's the thing, isn't it? So I think we're gonna have to be a little bit patient with that. The back four, I think they'll go with Emerson and Udogie. I did like Udogie, and I think what I liked about Udogie yesterday was the fact that he does actually defend okay as well. I think people were a bit concerned that he would be really, really good going forward, but not so much at the back. But I thought he actually defended quite well. So I think we'll see Emerson and Udogie there. I think it might be disaster to go with Udogie and say Pedro Porro for what I said earlier about being exposed at the back. So I think they'll go with those two. And obviously the goalkeeper picks himself. So
do you think also the other, maybe more extreme tinfoil hat, question I have here is Harry Kane starting Daniel Levy in Miami? I mean, is he starting against Brentford, Harry Kane?
Yeah, because he's staying.
If he's starting against Brentford, that means he's staying, right?
He's staying. I think he's staying. We've turned down another bid today. I mean, Sky Sports are saying that they're still in talks, but I think I do. In the back of my mind, I'm still worried about Daniel Levy suddenly sort of. I think he's got to be brave because he said he didn't want to see another Sol Campbell happening. So he's got to be brave and say, well, we're not going to sell him, and then we're going to look like we've shown some ambition, and he'll sign a new contract or an extension or whatever. But that's the only concern I have, is that he will give in to the mighty dollar or euro or pound or whatever you want to call it. And but at the moment, it doesn't look like Bayern, they keep putting these, it looks like we're about £25 million out. So I think he's probably aiming, I think Levy wants a big amount of money. But the problem is that even if we did sell Kane, when are we going to spend that money? We haven't really shown much now since spending money we've got from players before, a lot of Gareth Bale money. So yeah, it's a predicament. But I think Kane will stay, and to be honest, I think he's quite at ease with the whole situation. If Levy sells him, he'll go and play in Bayern, and I think that'll be a much better thing for him because he'll be able to play over there without sort of worrying about hurting his club. If he'd have gone to say Man City, Man United, whatever sort of thing. So
right.
So that sort of suits him. But I think. I mean, it was so funny with all the so-called body language experts yesterday about was he waving
we were engaging
with
it.
Hilarious. It's like
I went as far to say that Spurs play, like it felt like they were even sort of like not, they were trying not to pan on Harry Kane at any stage, and I thought that was actually pretty
there was
funny.
Not one talk of any transfer news because obviously it's the company line, isn't it? Spurs play. You can imagine, if it means Sky Sports, is Harry Kane staying or blah 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 sort of thing, But they did steer well away from that, and I mean that's what Harry Kane does at the end of every game. He always waves to the crowd. He always claps the crowd, And let's face it, they had 56,000 people there for a friendly. So, and that's his first game he's played in front of his home supporters for a while. So,
just quickly here, Brad sort of assumed it was funny, right? Like everybody, right, was doing the body language police, like myself. We were all engaging in, every sort of horrible, type of, over the top prediction, type of thing. But what I loved from 2J was like he took every information that I sort of gathered to be that Harry Kane that meant he was staying, like Levy going to Miami, him playing in that game, him sort of looking like pretty normal, like actively normal throughout the whole, sort of thing. Like it was just another friendly. Sort of 2J thought that was actually meant the opposite, right? Levy going to Miami meant he was escaping, all the hatred that would come his way. Kane, pretending like nothing is going on, is clearly instructed by the, the media from Spurs so that they get no sort of indication. And it was quite funny at the time, but big up to you too, Jay. Good to see you in the house.
It was. Yeah, I mean, look, it's the thing. I mean, Sky Sports News was, Harry Kane, is he waving goodbye? I mean, it's just a, it's a thing it's a thing that it lends itself to that sort of thing. As I said on, I think in a chat on some show yesterday, it's in Daniel Levy's hands anyway. It doesn't matter what Kane wants to do. So, so he could be waving goodbye, but if Daniel Levy doesn't accept any bids for him, well, then he's staying, isn't he? So I didn't read anything into that at all. I think he certainly shows, and Ange said, didn't he, that he's with the whole thing. He's into it. So yeah, it's another thing I said in the back room. Why would he want to sign a new deal? Why not wait until if Levy doesn't accept any money for him and he's still at Spurs, then he might as well wait until the end of the season. He can go wherever he wants, including Spurs. So I don't. Yeah, it was why won't you sign a new deal? Well, if you were Harry Kane, would you? If your future's up in the air, So and yeah, echo. He clapped the fans until he got and he waved at his family and. He posted on Twitter today a picture of his daughter, his 5-year-old daughter, whose birthday it was. So yeah, of course he's waving to so he's waving to his family. It's like, yeah, it's crazy, but
Should
yeah,
we? Yeah, sorry. Finish what you're about to say.
I was just going to say, yeah, I think he's staying.
Yeah. Shall we go on to prediction time, Brad? Is it time for that? Shall we, gather what you have in mind? Where will Spurs finish? Should we start with the big one? Domestic trophy.
Well, I think I sort of more or less predicted where Spurs will finish in my first sort of chat about. I think it's going to be a dodgy start. I think if Ange Postecoglou is given back and by the board and the fans, and he's here for 2-3 seasons, I think we'll be successful. I think this season, I still stand by my prediction that I think a mid-table, probably similar to where we were last season. If we end up in the top 6, then I think that's an amazing achievement this season. There are a lot of teams that it looks like a really even league this year.
Yeah.
You look at the end of last year, you look at the teams like Brighton were up there, Brentford were up there. They weren't that far away from finishing above us.
It's the Super League, I think, already. Yeah. If people don't believe it's the Super League now, I think it will be the Super League in 4 years. Everybody will start to say it is. The fact that, what was it? A relegation competing side, Nottingham Forest, signed Keylor Navas on loan, who's on like 300,000 a week, whatever, from PSG. I just thought that was insane to sign a Champions League winner for like a temporary loan. It's just insane
crazy.
For a relegation.
It's going to be. I mean, I think I don't think you can look past Man City as winning the title. I'm a bit half and half on how Arsenal will go. They can either have a hangover from their efforts last season and do nothing, or they could. Go with the experience and be better. So I don't know. Chelsea, they bought enough players there, although I think it's going to take a while for them to gel as a team. And sure. Pochettino's got to find his best 11, that sort of thing. But yeah, Villa seemed to be finished well last season. Brighton were up there. As I said, Brentford were up there. So I think it's going to be a very even league. And I just think the early days of the season, because don't forget, Brentford away, that's not easy. And then we got Man United at home. So we got some pretty difficult games.
No game feels easy anymore. It's just that gulf exactly. Between the teams as actually, there used to be that huge, right, that there, it used to be commonly said that the bottom 3, bottom 4 or 5 teams used to be just classes different than, the top teams. I would say it's actually been in some way bridged, and in some way they are like closer to being at least able to compete. I mean, the fact that West Ham were in some way, for the majority of the season, one of the worst teams in the Premier League, ended up winning the Conference League. So it does show that, the Premier League has reached a certain status of, most squads are quite deep. Most squads have good players.
I think our squad, while not perfect, we have got some decent players there. We've got players. We do seem to have replacement. Like we have someone for for Son, you got Solomon. For Madison, you got Lo Celso, who could be a surprise package this season. We've got Porro on the sidelines at the moment, so we've got a little bit of. And as I say, it's not perfect. Don't get me wrong. Someone will be, we haven't got a decent squad, but it's not bad. It's not bad. It's there. I think the cup. I would like to see us have a really good cup run, even win a cup. I think that will depend on the draw. I'm hoping that. Man City's of this world decided, I'm not going to worry about the League Cup or the FA Cup this season. I'm sure they won't, but yeah, I think if we get a decent draw, and also I think by the time the League Cup starts in September, but the FA Cup starts in January, so you'd hope that by that time we're starting to know the Postecoglou system and start to play it. So I think a cup run, as I say, depending on what the draw is, I think we could do it. We could, and we haven't had a decent cup run for a lot of time. So the irony
He's got
would
the time to do it. He's got the, it feels like the slip ups against the League Two, League One sides are, less likely now because you're not going to be rotating the squad as much. You're preparing more for the match. You're not as tired. But could that convince Harry Kane? I don't want to, we discussed that a lot, but domestic trophy push, I think, is a good way to convince him. Like, if you
the irony would be as if you went to Bayern and we won a trophy, wouldn't it? So
right.
the ultimate irony.
We win the Carabao, right?
And as I think I said to you backstage, everyone goes on about ambition. Well, I don't, and people will feel free to disagree with me. In my opinion, I think ambition to go to if you go to a team that are virtually guaranteed to win stuff, to me that's not ambition. It's like I want to. I think ambition is I want to win stuff with Spurs. That I think going to say it's the easy way out. Going to say a Man City or a Bayern Munich or wherever it might be to win stuff. I think it's. I think ambition's different from wanting to win things. But people say, oh, if he doesn't get a Bayern, he's not. If he stays at top, he's showing no ambition. Well, I don't believe that. I don't think that's true. In my opinion, I think he's showing ambition. He wants to win a cup trophy with Tottenham. So I think it's a bit of a misnomer. There's a great thing by Flatcapeurotalk. I think it's the ex Chelsea player. I don't know. He actually said about a World Cup win. He said that George Best no World Cups. He says
yes,
Ryan Giggs no World Cups, but he's played in one. So does that make him a better player than those two? And I thought that was spot on. That was actually spot on. So
absolutely.
So yeah, it's yeah.
No, it's gotten slander. I know it reached certain stages where I was like, what was it? Whoever said like, how does Harry Kane sleep at night? I was like, I mean, I think it was Michael Richards who said that. I was like, this is getting a bit far now. Like, come on now. Like, I mean, Micah, he's achieved more than you ever have in his career. He's done far more individually. He's a far better player. He's, did not have to retire early and become a pundit. So let's just let's just relax here, because, I think you're allowed to always have your criticisms of players. It's part of the whole game of, football punditry and everything. But when you reach that sort of level, I was just starting to kind of, raise my eyebrow of, certain levels of respect.
Yeah. No, the other thing about Harry Kane as well is that, he's had chances to win things. I mean, you'll probably know more than I will, in the stats, but he's played in, including in England as well, he's played in 3 finals, and he would have played about 4 semi-finals. So he's had the chance to win stuff. So it's high Graham, but so it's he's not through wanting to try and top scorer most assists.
Yeah, take it away.
Well, Tottenham. I mean, if as I say, Kane stays, it's going to be Harry Kane and probably Maddison top assists, isn't it? I'd say. I think Maddison yesterday, that shows what we've been missing for all those seasons since Eriksen went, really, or since prime Eriksen went. I think Eriksen in his last couple of seasons wasn't at the top of his game, but I think Maddison yesterday showed that sort of, and the way we play, we'll allow the midfield to get into the box and do that. As I said on last week's show, when we had Dele Alli, Eriksen, and Son scoring plus 20 goals in that 2017 season, so hopefully we'll have something similar this season. As I say, I'm perfectly happy with the attack. I think we're going to score goals, but it's just at the back that's a bit of a worry, as it probably is for most Spurs supporters. But, so I think if Kane stays at Spurs, which I think he will, he could score more goals than he did last season, because he's going to get more chances to, isn't he? So surprise of the season. Well, I wouldn't say Papa Sarr's a surprise. Yeah, I wouldn't say, because I think Papa Sarr's got a potentially, I think he's a very promising player, but as I say, not the complete player at the moment. So, but I don't think it'd be a surprise if he has a good season. I'd like to see someone like Lo Celso have a good season, because it does look like we're going to keep him, because I think he could be very important to Tottenham, because you want players that, if Maddison is rested or can't play, you want someone to come in and do just as good a job. So I'm hoping that Lo Celso is the surprise of the season in that respect. Disappointment of the season, Yeah, that's a difficult one. That you could choose any defender. I'm really hoping that Son is back to his best. He got a lot of criticism yesterday. I don't think he had a bad game yesterday, but he copped a lot of criticism saying, "Oh, he's just the same as he was last season." But 2 seasons ago, he's the top scorer, so I don't think you lose that. So I hope he has a good season, because that will be a disappointment for me if he has a poor season. I wouldn't like to comment who I think is going to be disappointment of the season. Hopefully not the goalkeeper. Hopefully not the goalkeeper. So, who actually made a brilliant save yesterday in the last sort of 15 minutes.
I'm gonna say surprise of the season is gonna be Papa Matasar. I'm gonna go for disappointment of the season. I'll dabble in it. I'm gonna say, and as much as I think we've harped on Skip a little bit too much, so I'm not gonna do that one. I think I'm gonna go with, and I don't want this to happen. This is gonna really pain me. Pedro Porro. I think it's going to be I think it's just going to be like a season of like, what is Pedro Porro? Is he a right back for us? He's a right
Yeah,
wing. There could be that case where I actually think he'd be fine as a right wing. I really do think he'd
yeah.
be fine.
I think it
But
would.
there's
I
that
think,
thing where it's
yeah.
like, what if that's not the case? Like, what if Postecoglou just doesn't see it that way, which is totally well and good. Yeah.
I tend to agree. I think he could be like him and Kulusevski could be the competing for that role on the right there. I think because it's certainly attacking wise, he showed a lot of ability last season. And at the end of the day, we bought him as a wing back, didn't we? We didn't buy him as a right back. So being asked to play as a right back and then an inverted right back for that matter, which playing as a wing back, he's never going to play like that. So yeah, it's a big ask. But I'd say that
I'd say Lo Celso and Sarr are definitely, the common answers you're probably going to get from most seasons. Just maybe one of my last questions, though, Brad. Did you expect this whole redemption arc from Lo Celso? And I'm not sure if I asked you last week about the apology forms that are already sort of coming about. But
No, I missed out on that last week because I know that David had a few opinions on it. I thought that Lo Celso would be out. I thought he'd be gone. I thought he was not interested. Whatever. I thought he'd be one of the first ones to go. But he seems to play well in pre-season. He seems to fit the style of Postecoglou a lot better. There was a point made that he's played for two negative managers, but then he was a Pochettino signing, wasn't he? So he played in the Pochettino team that was an attacking team. And actually, from memory, I think he started off pretty well under Pochettino, didn't he? I do remember everyone was really because we bought him on loan with an option to buy or whatever it was, and everyone was really excited when he signed that deal, wasn't he? Become a permanent player. So I think he was. People seem to remember him for getting injured or going to play for Argentina or whatever, and seem to forget that I think he was actually quite a decent player when he started for Tottenham.
Yeah, under Jose, right?
No, he started for Tottenham under Pochettino. I think it's once because he was it was Pochettino and Non Belli were the two players that we bought because the third player that we were in for was Bruno Fernandes, and that was the famous not paying the extra 5 million to get him, which possibly would have got us in the Champions League that season. So I think he has played under Pochettino. Again, we want him to play well because he's a really decent player to have in as a to compete with Maddison or be as a backup to Maddison. And also, you've got this young, and it's quite interesting. The new young lad said, didn't he? The Argentinian guy coming over said that apparently Lo Celso said, "Don't worry, I'll look after you." So that's interesting. So yeah, it's a.
And also, I think he's been playing a bit of agent for us. The fact that this Valise guy comes from his old club, and also all of a sudden, it's moved so quickly. Like, I'm not saying like Lo Celso just said, "Hey, there happens to be this guy I know about." Like, now all of a sudden that you have plans for me, I'll let you know about this secret. But it sort of felt like he must have in some way, if Spurs had been tracking him, Lo Celso's kind of future being kind of at least given some sort of a concrete or some sort of kind of a clarity, maybe then sort of allowed him to sort of reach out to that Felice guy, and he did a bit of agent work, and pushed us through. Maybe if there were because there were other clubs interested. That's right. There was like Forest. There was another Premier League club. I think it was Bournemouth, and then there was a club in might have been Italy or Spain or something
Yeah,
like that.
I'd
That
be
was
more
also
convinced
interesting.
if Man City were after him and we got him instead than we're competing with Forest or Bournemouth. To be
Sure.
brutally honest,
Sure.
uh, I don't know much about the
Do you
guy.
what do maybe very, very last question. Do you I'm at least happy though that Spurs are going out because it feels like Fabrizio Romano, half of his tweets are just like random Brazilian player, is headed to Chelsea or whatever club or Barcelona. And Spurs, I guess, in a way, are doing something like that. They've
Well,
just bought a random player that's supposed to be a real talent from those leagues,
apparently he's a good header of a ball as well, which
Yeah.
and I think there's some guy, Argentinian correspondent, was saying that he's not the be all and end all players. I think he could be decent. I don't think he's going to be a regular first team player for us, but he's there to sort of And the other thing about Lo Celso, to go back to Lo Celso very quickly, is
Mhm.
that our man at the club, Ali Gold, and despite what people might think of him, he is at the club. He's going to know much more than we do. Was saying that his Lo Celso's demeanour is a lot better at Tottenham now. That he's actually
Since
seems to
having a
be quite
child, I heard.
quite happy and sort of so. Which is important to be happy in your job. Basically, anyone that works knows that. Whether you're a footballer or an accounts clerk like me, being happy in your job is very, very, very important.
And we're not saying he was evil or anything like
No,
that. He
no.
wasn't capable of changing in some way, but it's like a classic case with Spurs, or not with Spurs players, but just for football players. Like they end up like they get maybe a bit too self-centered, too self-minded with their own sort of like arc and everything, that they maybe lose sight of the team and what's important with trying to develop. And also too, I think the fact that he's just had a child, I imagine, probably doesn't want to move around maybe too much
Mm,
anymore kind
mm.
of in his career. He wants to have some sort of stability, and knowing he's kind of good buddies with Romero, knowing Spurs do give a good paycheck,
Yeah,
he's thinking, this is probably my last chance to, really make not make a name for myself, because I think he's a very talented player, but to sort of redemption arc, I guess.
I think also we can't tell how much the morale was affected by the negativity last season.
Sure.
And I think we're all disappointed. We all expected Conte's team to do well. I did, but it never worked out. We never really backed him. And then I think he obviously, as everyone has said, he's like he was doing us a favour, and now we've got a manager who's already seems to be part of it. He have those sort of like family club type vibes, and you just got to love the press conferences, the way he talks, sort of, so I think the players are, now that they're going to be playing attacking football. That's what any kid will know. That any kid will not want to play attacking football,
Right.
So hopefully that, I think we tend to maybe underestimate how bad the morale might have been last season, like playing the way that we were. Now everyone seems to be buying into this.
I
So
think that's
hopefully,
part of the thing you can convince Kane with, right? Is just better
yeah,
morale in
yeah,
general can convince him,
yeah,
like a
yeah,
lot of different things. Brad, thank you for getting us started, and you've gotten us to the hour mark here. Thank you for
wow.
covering all of the. No, I mean I needed that, because I think we need the opener. Mia does it a lot, right? You need that opener to sort of cover a lot of the basis and cover a lot of the questions we're going to cover today. Thank you, sir. And I had a good chat with you. And please tell us about the channel and what people should take a look at. I hope that we got your last song at least closer to 100 likes. I remember you said that
Yeah,
about.
it's up around the 50 now, so I think I just have to put it down to one of those things. But yeah, if anyone doesn't know already, I write my own songs. I play guitar, or try to play guitar, bass guitar, keyboards, write my own lyrics, and just basically record them on a digital audio interface, and put them out with a video, which, depending on how much time I have, it might be a lot in the video. It might be just a real rubbish video, like the last one probably was. But yeah, it's my own songs. They're about things that I things of how I feel about things, experiences. There is a bit of politics in there, which you may or may not agree with. Quite, my
It's your own
politics is on the
channel.
left. Yeah, my politics is on the left, or I prefer to call it on the humanist side. You might not agree with it, which is fine. It's a free world, and but yeah, it's all there. I enjoy doing it. I'm hopefully every song I do, I'm trying to get better, and my ultimate aim is to write Penny Lane. So That's how high I'm looking at.
And
But yeah, thanks to
yeah,
everyone that supported me along the way and regularly watches the songs and clicks the likes and shares and subscribes and all that sort of stuff. I really do appreciate it. It's a great feeling when something does work. But I'm my own worst critic, to be honest. But yeah, please go and give it a look and see what you think.
everybody show Brad some love, please. He's done me a service by getting us started with some good chat, with some good convo here on a lot of things that we have to talk about tonight. And I think you could do him a favor by just going over, checking out his channel, checking out a song, or even just hitting the subscribe and just doing him a favor that way. Thank you to Brad. Hopefully you have a good rest of your evening. And I know you're back to work tomorrow. So
Yeah, that's
hopefully,
4 days off or 2 days on the weekend. So yeah, back to work tomorrow. So but it's a decent job. It's a good job. I enjoy doing it. So they're good people. So it's not so bad.
all
But
right.
cheers,
Well,
Jack. Cheers for having me on and being able to plug my channel again. That's great.
no, thank you,
Come on,
Brad.
you
Thanks for
Spurs.
come on, you Spurs. Thanks for helping me. Have a good night. See you
You
soon.
too, Jack. Take care, mate.
Everybody go check out Brad's channel, please. Go show him some love. Everybody as well, thank you so much for all of you who have already tuned in. So many of you already in the chat. Please, if you haven't already, do me a favor, smash the like button, please. You're doing Dave and I a massive favor. Just sort of helps us battle against the algorithm. I'm not going to spam it or ram it down your throats too many times, but it does help us out a little bit. And keep getting your comments in as well, please. Also, if you do want to come on and have your say, feel free to grab that fan show membership. The link is still up there if you want to come on and chat with me. And then two, if you do want to have your sort of comments read aloud straight away and have them discussed with the panel members, feel free to throw in a super chat. Another great way to support the channel. We're going to go on to our next guest here, and we're going to speak to him about, the rest of the season, what just happened with Shakhtar and all that good stuff. I believe it's Tyler next. Let's talk to him. Howdy, Tyler.
How you doing, Jack?
Dude, okay, my friend. And I know you're quite close to maybe where Daniel Levy is vacationing right now. Do you want to start with the Harry Kane recent news that's broken from David Ornstein? Do you want to start with, the Shakhtar game? Where do you want to go? Lots to talk about.
Yeah, we can start with Kane. Ornstein news saying that we rejected another $100 million bid or whatever euros.
Yeah.
Now is it euros?
How many have we rejected at this stage? Do you think 4 or 5 bids? I probably imagine from Bayern.
Yeah, I think Levy at this point is just Bayern has not handled it very well, and I think Levy's just a big FU to them going down to Miami, coming to enjoy the very hot weather with me. Yeah, I think at this point, Kane's staying. I did, read into a little bit of the body language of Kane. I felt like he was just not trying to show anything.
No, he was acting like if you were ever told to act normally, like in a situation, it felt like that's what he was doing. It was almost overacting of normalness.
Yeah, after every goal or whenever they, show him or when he was walking around the stadium, he did seem a little awkward, so I don't know. If you want to read into that, you can. I don't know. I think at this point, it looks like he's staying though.
Do you feel like too, like Daniel Levy, I sort of said this to you in the back end, like anybody headed to Miami usually isn't sort of going there to engage in sort of big business negotiations abroad. I mean, maybe their negotiations are held in Miami. It could be a special case scenario, but usually you're not headed there for a big business negotiation over Zoom call or something like that. Usually you're headed there, to take your mind off of things. And perhaps he's taking his mind off of the headache that Bayern have given him, over these months.
Or maybe he's trying to steal Messi from Miami. Who knows?
Oh, love that. And what do you think though on just Kane? Like, so if you feel like he's staying, he's boarding the plane with Barcelona, probably. I imagine him staying. Do you feel like he's still going to sign the contract, or do you feel like there's still going to be the conversations down the road about whether he's going to be extending or not?
Yeah, I mean, I think no matter what, he's not signing that contract right now.
No, not right now.
No. If it was up to me, look, if Kane has already come out and said to Daniel that no matter what, he's going on a free in the summer. It doesn't matter what happens this season. Then I think obviously we need to sell him, but I don't think that's the case right now. I think he's keeping an open mind. I think he is excited to play with like Madison and under Ange. I think if we continue to progress and Ange keeps getting backed, hopefully we buy one more center back. as well as Van de Ven this summer. I think we have a really good future ahead right now, and keeping Kane is essential to that. I think, bringing in a guy like Valise, we have Scarlett and Donnelly coming up. Them learning under Kane will be incredible. I think.
Hmm.
So so if it was up to me, and Kane has kept an open mind, he's not saying that no matter what, he could have a chance to resign. I'm taking that risk 100%.
I like it.
He's just way too good of a player. The greatest player for Tottenham I've ever seen as a younger guy. I know other Spurs fans have seen, so many amazing players along their years, but yeah, that's just my opinion. I think you take the risk.
The way I see it, Tyler, is that maybe Spurs sort of had too many problems going into the summer to even think about sort of, pushing that Harry Kane sale. Like if he really wanted to go, you would have to maybe just accept terms and just feel like, yep, we're just gonna have to accept it. He's gonna, force his way out of here, whether it happens or not. He's gonna force his way out. We'll just accept it and deal with the consequences. But if he's still kind of undecided, still kind of up in the air about it, you already have so many other problems, like irrespective of the Harry Kane situation, that it felt like maybe Spurs could be doing what I hope they're doing, which is sort of splitting the two problems in half. Deal with Harry Kane's potential absence, his potential departure next summer. It might cost around 100 million euros, probably I think, to maybe try to at least, find a replacement or some sort of alternative. But this summer is also going to take around 100 million euros to fix the midfield, the
Yeah,
goalkeeper, the defense, the attack, all the other weird kind of problem areas that we had. It just felt like it was just too much to do in one transfer window, that you kind of maybe did have to bite the bullet of losing Kane on a free. Like, you might not have to think about it as financially, right? You have to just sort of see it as, listen, just too much to deal with right now. Let's just sort of, fix the biggest problem, which in my opinion was 63 goals conceded, the worst defensive season we've had in decades. That felt like that was the most important priority, regardless of whether Harry Kane left or not.
100%. And I don't think we've done that yet. I think we still
What
have
do
to
we
at
still
least
need?
we have to get. I think we have to get a dominant center back in, a guy that can come in and start right away, like a Tapsoba. I'm worried about. Look. I love Van de Ven. I love the signing. I think for the future he's going to be great. And even right now, he's probably better than a Davies
Mhm.
at that left center back. Even right now, but I think we do have to bring someone else in. I mean, especially we know Romero's a little bit rash. He gets a red card, then we're looking at Davies and Dyer starting in a four back, and we're going to get absolutely torched. So it's really concerning, right now. But I am excited for the season. That's for sure.
Definitely. Would you like to talk about the Shakhtar game with me here, Tyler?
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it. What do you make of kind of maybe the first half, or what do you maybe kind of the themes, or any sort of kind of the notes that you take from it, positive, negative? What kind of comes to mind? Maybe what sort of did you learn from this game?
Yeah, I mean, we do have to look at the opponent, right? I think Shakhtar has lost, a good amount of players because of, sadly, the war going on there, and
True.
people not wanting to play there or whatever. They do have a lot of young players still, but it's not like we were playing a Champions League version of Shakhtar from a few seasons ago, where they're an actual solid side. Trust me, they're much better than Lion City Sailors, though. That's for sure. But no, I
Did you
think
notice that though, just with the game itself? It felt like, Shakhtar occasionally, right, maybe caught Spurs out, a few
yeah,
balls over the top, some moments of, even like there were a few, despite, like you said, maybe them not having as much of the talent as they usually do amongst their ranks. There's still like a few players here and there that played some intricate passes and, like,
yeah.
whatnot, that sort of probably caught us off guard, actually.
Yeah, no, I mean they still have good talent, but
Hmm. Hmm.
I want to start with Sarr. I know I've seen a lot of mixed opinions on him. I know he lost the ball quite a bit in the first half, but you have to look at it as this: at least Sarr is trying progressive passes. He's being aggressive. He was all over the pitch for one. I think other than giving the ball away a little bit, he was fantastic, and he grew into the game as it came along. I thought he had a really good game. He almost scored. That was a really good shot. Great
Yeah.
save from the Shakhtar goalie. Um, But I'm really excited about Sarr in the future. I think he'll end up being maybe our best midfielder. I don't know about for this season, but in the future, I think he's got a lot of talent. Um,
Do you think he just looks more comfortable in the final third than maybe Skip would, who looks to be the alternative right now to like that position, like kind of
yeah,
this high box to box pressing type midfielder? And it makes sense, right? That Skip, even though you and I are a bit more skeptical about him kind of being able to do
yeah,
it, like you could see why he could see them as kind of alternatives to each other. Like they both work really hard, they both want to get stuck in, and they kind of just want to run about everywhere. And if that's what kind of SAR is supposed to be doing, kind of just be box to box, be in the final third as well as track back defensively, it kind of makes sense that you would try to mold Skip into that sort of player too. But it just feels like he doesn't have that technical ability that SAR does in the
yeah,
final third.
yeah. I think overall, I think the attack looked dangerous, but I am very worried right now about Kulu and Sonny. I think they both, just love to cut in a little bit too much. I think that is gonna sort of hurt us. I would like to see them, switch it up a little bit. I think Kulu did switch it up quite a bit, but I feel like sometimes he's just, shooting when he should pass or passing when he should shoot. But he did get 2 assists and he looked a lot more lively yesterday.
What did you make of the fullback situation? My boy Mo playing kind of more like a defensive midfielder, felt like for the majority of the game, and then Udoji too playing that kind of inverted role. Do you feel like that's what you want to see come up against Brentford?
Oh, I don't know about Emerson, right? I like Emerson. Don't get me wrong. He is average though. I think we should have much better in that position.
Hmm.
Um, but
What do you think he needs to be doing better? Do you think?
I don't know. Him and Romero did get beat down that side quite a bit.
Hmm.
It was a little bit concerning. Look, I just don't know. I think it is early in the system. Let's they've only played a couple games. That was their first 90 minutes. So let's see what happens. I am worried about that side with Emerson and Poro there right now. Um, I
Hmm.
think Emerson's obviously a solid defender and one of our best defenders in the air, which is a bit concerning. That's why I do want us to get a guy like a Tapsoba or like a bigger
Yeah.
center back. Because
Yeah.
as well as Van de Ven, he is big, isn't he? He's like 6'4", but
Yeah.
I've heard that
It felt like
he
that
isn't that good
cross
in
would have
the
hit
air.
him in the chest. If that was
Yeah,
him, marking that one.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's much taller than Davies. So I don't know, but I think Adogi was really, really good, and I think he's going to have a really good season. I know it was against those Shakhtar players; they weren't the best attackers, but he looked really good defensively. So I'm excited for Adogi. I really am.
Can I ask you maybe just on how you felt like Romero and kind of Emerson's side was being cut out? Was it kind of those balls over the top? Like, was it some of the counterattacks that, maybe Shakhtar had? Like, maybe was it just them positionally? What do you like, maybe just to, ask you a bit more in detail?
Yeah, the counterattacks, the over the top. I think I- you know we've seen in the past Emerson and Kulu actually do a good job together on that side, especially defensively and linking up with each other. But both of them, neither of them wanted to get the guy that had the ball that ended up crossing it in where we conceded that goal. They both just kind of watched him as he took one touch to his right and just crossed it in right over Ben Davies's short head. That was very concerning. Yeah, I think I don't know. I think the chemistry is going to have to get better down there
Hmm.
as the season goes on. We
Yeah,
just started a new system. They haven't
yeah.
played much together, so let's see what happens.
See what happens.
I don't want to overanalyze.
I like it. I like it. You want to move on to some predictions now, Tyler?
Yeah, sounds great.
Let's get into it. Where will Spurs finish? Domestic trophy push as well. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about the domestic cups first. I think in the past, these past few seasons, I mean, we're losing to Middlesbrough in the cup or Sheffield United. Like, this has to stop. We have to take we have to take the cups more seriously, and two, we can't be getting outplayed by these horrible teams. It's getting ridiculous. I think this season with some of the depth pieces we've got, like Solomon and Perisic, being our backup wingers is going to be really good in the cup matches, especially.
Mhm.
Um, I think we'll be fighting for the cups for sure, much more than we have recently, and I
Okay.
think we do. You're always going to have a chance going into a new season to win a cup. I mean, obviously it's hard when you got Man City just dominating, but you're always going to have a chance, and I think our team looks a lot more
Yeah.
like an exciting cup team. We're going to play more obviously attacking football, and we should be able to dominate those way worse teams.
And where are we finishing in the league, Tyler?
It's hard because there are teams like Brighton and Villa, but they do have Europe. Um, I think we are going to be fighting for Europe. Obviously, I think we'll be fighting with Villa and maybe Chelsea. I think we'll be fighting for maybe the fifth or sixth spot around there. I
Okay.
think probably six or seven is more realistic. But I think we definitely do have a chance if we keep Kane, and if we do bring in Tapsoba, I think fifth and maybe even pushing for fourth if we get
Now,
Tapsoba and keep Kane.
will we sort of hover around fifth and sixth like the majority of the time? Will we make a big push at like towards the end of the season? Will it be rocky? How do you see it going? Like, do you see us maybe starting maybe a bit rocky, then sort of finishing strong? That sort of thing. What type of season is it going to be?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we got Brentford and Man United first two games. I
Tough
think
games for the first
they
month.
are very tough games. Obviously, Brentford doesn't have Tony, but they still have quality players like Embuemo in that attack that can hurt us on the counter. So we'll see what happens. But I could see us, starting a little rocky. I think, especially with Van de Ven coming in. Who knows if we get another center back? They haven't played in the preseason. I mean, we should have got these guys months ago, so they'd be ready to come in for the season. But
I agree.
yeah, I could definitely see us starting a little rocky. Hopefully, we're not getting beat too badly in the beginning. But no, I think we'll start maybe a little rocky, probably a loss or draw to that Man United team. But I think as the season goes on, the chemistry levels are gonna increase. I mean, Madison and Kane, I think, is just gonna be incredible to watch. I
Mm,
think we're gonna easily be scoring 2-3 goals a game. We just have to not concede. We just have to
yeah.
be very good at defending the counter, and we can't be getting caught out. We can't have that spell like the last 5 minutes of the first half against Shakhtar where we let off and they were able to get a goal because Højbjerg decided to boot the ball up the pitch because he's still for 3 seasons that's what he was told to do, damn
Yeah.
near. So I don't
Just
want to I don't want to attack Højbjerg for that, but
no, his old wiring, his old code, yeah,
yeah,
was coming into things. I absolutely agree. No, completely
definitely.
agree. Who's gonna be finished? Who's gonna be the most creative? Who's gonna be the most ruthless?
Well, obviously, Harry Kane's gonna have the most goals if he stays.
Can he get Can he get a ton of assists, or is that going to be more someone else's department, like Madison, or maybe a Kulusevski or somebody?
Yeah, I don't see him getting that many assists this year. I think, you know, especially last game, you didn't see him dropping back too much. I mean, he's still gonna do it. I mean, his passing range is so incredible. It'd be stupid if we only had him just sit
Yeah.
in the box the whole time. I mean, his passing range, it's better than Madison's. It is, and
No, it
he's
is.
not a 10. His passing is absolutely incredible. So I think it'd be so he could get he's going to get a couple assists, of course, but I think he could easily get 30, 35, pushing for 40 goals. I really do.
Alrighty, I like
And then
it.
assists wise, Madison will probably have the most assists. Maybe Kulu, if he if if Kulu if he turns it on and if he gets going, I think he could have a really good season. But I am a little bit worried about him crossing in with that right foot. From I'm going to go into this here surprise of the season. I'm actually going to say a combination of two players, um, Ivan Perisic and Manu Solomon. I think they're going to
Oh,
be. I think they're going to be rotating a lot with Sun and Kulu. I think that
and they'll be good impact subs. Yeah.
they both have a they both have a really good cross on them. I think they almost mix better with Kane than Son and Kulu. Son and Kulu are a little more selfish. They like to cut in, take their shots, which is fine. I mean, we know how amazing Son is with either foot, but I think Solomon and Perisic are going to be key players, whether it's off the bench or even starting. I'm really worried about Sonny. I think I think Ange isn't gonna put up with another season like Son had last season if he's just not playing that well, not gelling with the team. I think he could get dropped for a Solomon or a Perisic.
Interesting. I sort of feel like Sonny is quite hungry to probably right, what was a pretty disappointing season, but it could be the case that it doesn't meet him, doesn't meet his sort of his attributes, doesn't meet his strengths, and he's gonna yet again be sort of asked to do things that maybe are a bit outside of his comfort zone or just don't really bring out some of his best qualities. And it'll be interesting to see. I personally think he'll thrive. I don't see how he couldn't, knowing that he seems to be very sort of self-aware type of guy. Like he acknowledges, his shortcomings. He seems to be able to acknowledge, when he, isn't playing well enough. So it feels like if he's struggling in this system, he'll find a way to make it work. That being said, though, I think also Kulusevski is an interesting one. Will he kind of also maybe have a similar problem of, kind of like you say, forgetting to take it down the right and cross it down with his right foot and be able to, kind of not be as predictable, because Kulusevski sometimes can be a bit guilty of being very predictable, it feels like, when cutting inside. So I don't know. Some of the wingers do feel like, they're being asked to do different things and,
Yeah,
being asked to be slightly different to how Conte had them, for sure.
yeah, and I think it also depends on the fullbacks. I did actually I thought Udogi and Son linked up pretty well actually. So if Udogi's the one just bursting down that left wing on and crossing it in, and Son can get more inside, then it might end up working out, as well as Poro on the right side. But I'm worried with Emerson in there coming into the midfield, and Kulu just being strictly bombing down the right wing, and I just don't know right now. I haven't
Mhm.
seen enough, so it is a very bold prediction to make.
No, I like
Um,
it.
but
Disappointment.
I absolutely love Sonny. He's my second favorite player on the team behind Kane. I love him. I hope he proves me wrong, but I'm
Mhm.
a little bit worried about him. I think he's trying to come inside a little bit too much, and especially right now with Madison and Kane both going to be operating in that same area. I don't know. I think on one of the there was a time in the game yesterday. I forgot who had the ball on the right side. I'm sure it was probably Kulu, but he tried to switch the play over and put a good put. It wasn't even a bad ball, but no one was down there on that left side. Son had cut in completely to the midfield and was on top of Kane
Mhm.
um, in the central attacking, trying to make a run down there next to Kane. But he needs to stay wide in those scenarios, and so I don't know. So we'll see what happens.
And surprise of the season, did you give that to me? Did you say it was Sar, Lo Celso? Like, who did you think is going
I
to be
said a
maybe the
combination.
best player?
I said a
Yeah.
combination of Perisic and Solomon.
Right, Perisic and Solomon. That's right. Yeah, good
Yeah.
answer. Good answer. Well, Tyler, do you have any kind of final comments here before I let you go here, my friend? You got through all of it. Well done to you.
Yeah, no, I think I'm good. I think we do need to be excited for the season. No matter what happens, I think Ange Ball is looking really exciting. I think finally we're playing more attacking football. Obviously worried about the defense, but I'd much rather just see good attacking football. If we do concede still, which I think we will. It obviously is annoying, but as long as we're getting those 30 shots a game, you can't be too upset.
Hmm.
It's obviously very fun to watch. So
No, definitely. Well, Tyler, appreciate you coming on, my friend, and we'll look forward to seeing how those predictions check out at the end of the season. Who knows? Maybe we'll check in, see how they look towards the end. And thanks as well for coming on tonight.
yeah, thanks a lot, Jack. Have a good one.
Appreciate you, my man. Appreciate you. Speak to you soon. Okay.
All right, later, guys.
See ya. Everybody, big up to Tyler. Always a good man to get us started. Also, often kind of serves as a bit of a closer for us, but good to see Tyler in here. Everybody, keep smashing that like button. Keep getting your comments in. We're going to keep going through this fan show here. By the way, everybody, if you didn't know already, Dave will be back with us Wednesday, just celebrating, I think, a birthday with his grandma. And then, two, also kind of just needs an extra day, I think, to celebrate, or not celebrate, just sort of spend some time with his mom and with just family that maybe just kind of has gotten missed. Sometimes you end up not being able to spend as much time with the fam as you would like to. So Dave will be back Wednesday with us, everybody. But we're going to keep pushing on to the next guest this evening. I believe it is Mr. Dan Davenport. And I know he likes to fire the questions my way, so we'll see how this goes. Hey, Dan.
Hey, how are you?
Good, my friend. And you earlier in the back end, seemed to think that Spurs should still push on selling Harry Kane. Is that right? Do you want to start there?
Well, I've changed my mind now.
Changed your mind now? Do you feel like Kane needs to stay?
Yeah, if he signs a new contract.
If he signs a new contract. I think a lot of people like Mia sort of feel the same way, Dan, because maybe he's somebody that is still kind of weighing up, the possibility of going to a big club, on a free instead of having to only pick one club, where if you're only listening to the clubs that throw in the fee that Daniel Levy accepts, you have fewer options than if you get to go on a free.
But PSG could still make a move for Harry Kane. They can make 100 million bid for him.
They got all the money in the world, my friend. They got all the money in the world. They did throw in something like 70 million euros for that Gonzalo Ramos guy from Benfica. I do actually rate him. He's actually quite good. So maybe that was sort of their reserve money if they didn't get Harry Kane. It also seems like with PSG, though, that maybe there's kind of a bit of an unsettled camp. Like Luis Enrique maybe isn't too happy there. I'm not sure if Harry Kane wants to go into that mess right now at PSG.
They are trying to offload Kylian Mbappe, and now Neymar could be on the move as well.
That's right. They're offloading all you could say maybe the big personalities of the team, and they want to put in Mr. Harry Kane. Do you think if Kane boards the plane to Barcelona, does that mean automatically he's going to be staying this season?
The transfer window is still open until the 1st of September.
Exactly right, Dan. Exactly right. He could still go at any stage. Do you think Højbjerg, this is somebody we don't get to speak enough about, though. Højbjerg could he be out the door? Could that have been one of his last games in a Spurs shirt?
I hope not.
You hope not. Tell me why. Are you a big Højbjerg fan like myself?
I think he's done quite well.
Mm-hmm. I think he's a bit underrated, too. I think he often gets kind of a bit of a hard rap from Spurs fans. They call him, I think, the flappy arm merchant from time to time, Dan.
Harry Maguire seems surplus to requirements at Manchester United. Could Tottenham go in for him?
I feel like we shouldn't. That was sort of when I was very desperate there, Dan. At one stage when, I was getting so sick of Dyer, Sanchez, and crew, I was willing to tolerate maybe somebody like Harry Maguire on loan for maybe a few months, but definitely not on a permanent deal of any sort. I am kind of curious what sort of center back we will go after, though. If it's not going to be Tapsoba, could it be? I don't know. I'm a big fan of Max Kilman. Do you watch Wolves at all, Dan?
Yeah.
Do you like Max Kilman?
He's all right.
I think he's actually quite good on the ball, and that's what I think, Ange would probably like.
Yeah.
Questions for the season predictions, Dan. Can I get some season predictions from you? Where will Spurs finish, my friend?
Either 4th, 5th, or 6th, and maybe it would be great if we can win one of the domestic cups, but it'll be difficult, like what Tyler said earlier.
Do you think Spurs are going to finish in Europe then, by the sounds of it? You think we're in 4th, 5th, or 6th? Is it going to be Europa League, Champions League?
Yeah, I hope for one of the two European Cup competitions.
Is it possible that we finish in Champions League without Harry Kane? Like you said, it's the transfer window doesn't end till the summer. Till the deadline. Could it be a possibility that Spurs still make Champions League if Harry Kane were to go this year?
We'll have to wait and see what happens with Harry Kane.
Definitely have to wait and see. What would you say is maybe going to be the surprise of this season? Who's going to be maybe the player that ends up surprising us the most this season? Could it be a Basuma? Could it be Udoji? Who do you think?
It could be Basuma, yeah. Why not? He's a very good player.
People keep saying he's going to be the main character for the season. If there was an Amazon documentary, maybe he would be the main character of the all-in-one.
Are you surprised we didn't go for Tyler Adams?
A little bit. I guess he's we need a replacement for Højbjerg. If we were to get rid of Højbjerg, he would be quite similar, right?
Yeah.
I think he'd be quite similar. He's a very, hardworking type midfielder, bit of a I guess the American Viking in a way. He's also from New York, so I have a bit of a bias that way too. I'd love to see me and Nick would see a fellow New Yorker in here. That would always be nice. But yeah, I guess also too, 20 million pounds, maybe on the cheaper side of things. If you sell Højbjerg for 30 million plus, could be interesting. I'm not sure if he's directly better than Højbjerg, but definitely serves as a candidate if you were to look at replacements. Who do you think do you want to talk about disappointments at all, Dan, or would you rather just be positive about the next season? Positive. I like it. Then top scorer, most assists, and then I think I'll let you go, my man. Who's going to finish with the most goals?
If not Kane for then Son.
Kane, then Son. Could Sonny have a comeback season?
If not, it depends what happens with Kane, but Son maybe if he.
I'd love to see Sonny get a comeback season. Yeah. Tyler earlier said Sonny might be one of the disappointments, maybe potentially of the season. Do you see that happening, or do you think Sonny's gonna go back to his best?
I think Son will hopefully get back to his best.
Me too. And then who's grabbing the most assists? Is it gonna be Matters, or is Harry Kane gonna still be the most? Is it gonna be the best?
Well, Maddison, because look what he did with Leicester a couple of years ago.
Could he be better for us than he was at Leicester?
Yeah.
That'd be good to see. Did you think he could grab, more assists and more goals than he ever has at Leicester with us?
Yeah. Why not?
Why not? Absolutely right. Well, Dan, unless you have any questions left for me, do you have any questions left for me?
No, I don't.
Alrighty, Dan. Well, I think I'll let you go this evening. What do you have planned for the rest of the evening?
I'm just going to relax.
Just going to relax. Good man, Dan. Well, yeah. I'll see you soon, and stay tuned and keep messaging me on Twitter, by the way. I like all your direct messages. I appreciate them.
Okay.
See you soon, Dan. Have a good one. Have a good evening. Big up to Dan here, everybody. And I like the fact that he also kind of asks me the questions every now and again. I do appreciate that. It's nice to be asked. It's nice to be asked. But I think we're going to go on to the next Dan of the evening, or maybe a Daniel. And I think he's coming on the back of the vacation where he's sort of taking his time away from the mayhem that is Spurs. Let's bring on Daniel Larson back, the Viking, our own, Højbjerg fan. And it's been a while. It's been a while, Dan.
Hello. Good,
Fresh
good.
Off vacation?
Yes. Much needed one. Lovely.
Did you tune out from Spurs entirely? Did you even stay away from Twitter, stayed away from the news, just tuned out entirely?
Yeah, you kind of have to when you go away from me. But it's always nice to be back. It's better to get back when you do that, in my opinion. To the flow of it.
I said that on the watch along, or at some stage I sort of said that, to you, where it's just sort of like you get to kind of wipe your mind clean of all the horrors of, last season, and you get to kind of just go into it, just sort of like fresh perspective, even a bit naive, if you will. But, that's often kind of nice because then you just don't have to be as, doom and gloom about everything. But
no.
Do we want to start with Harry Kane news that's come out today? Right?
Sure.
He's another rejection by Daniel Levy. How many rejections has he handed Bayern?
Must be, 3 at least. There could be even 4. I don't know if it was a secret one. It's insane. This is Daniel Levy, though. Like, the man is just like this. This is why I also feel like, for me, I might be wrong, we struggle to sell players like other players, the deadwoods. So I'm
because look how much he holds on to Kane. Yeah, look how tight-fisted he is with Kane. Right.
So it's negative as well for me, But I was like yesterday when after the game and everyone, like, all thoughts was around it. I was like, at this point, if he leaves, he leaves. If he stays, he stays. And you kind of have to accept both. And it looks like he's staying now, and there's nothing we can do about it. So it's no point in get mad or frustrated about it. You just have to live in the moment and enjoy him for next season as well.
Do you feel like, though, him leaving on a free, does that bother you all that much? Because with some people it really does, right? It feels like it's a really bad business decision by Spurs, financial decision. The way I put it today, Dan, was that I feel like we have so many problems, like that we sort of can maybe just take the loss of maybe what we could get from a Harry Kane sale, sort of split our problems in two, fix the defense, fix that back line, fix the goalkeeper situation, midfield, etc., all this summer that we already kind of need to fix, irrespective of Kane. The following summer, if Harry Kane does end up leaving on a free, you can then focus more on kind of that and doing that the right way, right? And doing it, the right sort of way with replacing him.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's for me. I've said it before. Like, you can't. I think always you need to sell a player. When I don't think any other club would let him go on free. To say their best player going free when you can get 100 million, sort of, for them. So, but for me now, it happens, and when next season, or if I mean, you could sign a contract, by next season if he sees things going well. You never know. So you kind of just have to you relax, and you can't think too much about it.
And Ellie's asking, and a player that I actually think there's a possibility could have played his last game for Spurs, or maybe one of his last games, Højbjerg. Do you think that's maybe something that's behind the scenes? Like, if Harry Kane wasn't leaving, do you think there'd be some speculation about whether that was one of Højbjerg's last games?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's the next big one of players we're looking to sell. Looks like. I mean, we haven't put him on the transfer list. It looks like, but
how much of a
Højbjerg,
loss would he be? Do you agree with Dave? And Dave recently has been really defending, saying that if we were going to sell Højbjerg, we have to upgrade on Højbjerg. He said, simple as. There's no reason to think of Højbjerg as just a typical loss that you won't feel.
No, you definitely feel it, because he is his own player. He does his thing great. But yesterday I thought he was completely anonymous. Like, I didn't see him. Like, I didn't notice him playing. So is that because, for me, he's struggling with coping with the system at this moment in time? Because he's been playing under Mourinho and Conte now, of course, done his job. Now he has to be more progressive. And he's a great passer and all that. So I just felt like he did panic a little bit and kind of became invincible at time, or So I feel like.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No,
I think like I could see why yesterday people did point out that mistake that he made towards the end of the game, how like his Mourinho wiring and his Conte, thinking was going to go into play there. But at the same time, he still, I thought, had a pretty good game, and he played some pretty nice passes throughout, and sort of was doing what everybody described McGinn, to be doing over at Celtic, was just sort of picking up the ball off those center backs and just sort of spraying passes left and right to the wingers, and kind of trying to play some of those, maybe, how would you put it, like more breaking the lines sort of passes from those deeper areas. I just thought Højbjerg was actually quite good on the ball. I'm not saying he's going to be better than Bissouma in the number 6, but I do think he is going to be better than Skip in the number 6. So I am just sort of worried, like, if we end up selling Højbjerg, we need to find somebody who would be even better than him in the position he played today. And also, too, let's say you come up against Brentford, who you're going to play in that midfield. Like, if Højbjerg's still available, would you start him in that number 6 and play Bissouma a bit higher up? Would you leave Højbjerg on the bench? Where do you see, what's your starting lineup in the midfield, at least? In the midfield, you don't have to think about the part.
Yeah, it's so hard, though, because he's rotated so much, and the midfield, I mean, Sarr is starting now. Like, he looks to really like him, so I'm feeling he's going to start. I think it's going to be maybe the same team that played yesterday starting against Brentford. And it's weird, though, because if Bissouma Højbjerg starts ahead of Bissouma, why is that the reason? Like, I don't understand that, because if he's looking to sell him, if he's not in his plan, why is he playing him? So it's weird. I find it hard to, like, understand a little right now in this moment in time. But so
knowing I'm a bit more defensive minded at times, Daniel. So the way I see it is a team like also Brentford, who have a good manager, and Thomas Frank, who's clever. Like, I think he's a guy that sort of like picks out weaknesses in teams. Like, I know he doesn't really play particularly like a Jose, but I think he thinks like a Jose, where he looks at, weaknesses of different teams, and then he sort of seems to exploit that. Because when I see Brentford play, You'll see them certain games like dominate possession and, play that really progressive brand. And then other games, you'll see them put like every man behind the ball, play really defensive, sort of kind of hit you on the counter attack, type of style. So he seems to sort of switch it up a lot, Thomas Frank. So I'm then thinking a guy like him might see some of the weaknesses or some of the areas to exploit in Ange's system, right? He might see the two center backs, and try to hit the ball behind them like Shakhtar were doing. Shakhtar kept going for some of those, over the top through balls that worked. And I'm thinking Thomas Frank would probably go for something similar. So it's going to be interesting to see that. And I'm thinking Højbjerg, Basuma might be a better midfield combination just to sort of have a bit more solidity, maybe defensively, I'm thinking.
Yeah, honestly, I agree a little bit. But again, with Højbjerg, if he stays, like, I hope he's the best midfielder in the league this season. You know what I mean? If he stays. Why not? Yeah.
Why not? What do you think of Lo Celso and the redemption arc that's going on right now? He's even brought us a player in Valise. From his former club.
I'm not sold on Lo Celso still, but if it looks like Ange really likes him, so I'm prove me wrong, please, Lo Celso. I still think you can't really I just think he's a passenger. And I haven't seen. I only saw him a little bit yesterday, so I don't know how he played the previous preseason matches. So, but it's weird. Like, I never thought this guy was gonna be in.
But you're not filling any apology forms or anything yet.
No, not yet. It could happen. Emerson. It's happened with Emerson. Could happen. We could happen with Gio as well. But
we've all had to fill an apology form, as a Spurs fan. You always do.
I'm gonna send him a personal message, video message, if that's the case. To be found.
And it's all come off the back of him having a kid, I guess, too, is what Ali Gold has said. Is that his whole attitude, his whole his whole ethos has sort of kind of changed a bit, like Gio Lo. So he's just nicer to everybody, a bit more kind of outgoing to people outside of his kind of Argentinian, kind of clique too and everything. So he's sort of a changed man from what we are gathering and what we've heard. And we kind of wanted, that was the thing. I felt like with Tanguy and him, that was whoever was going to win it, that whole redemption arc thing. They needed to be a bit of more of a changed man, changed attitude, because it wasn't really much a question of their ability. I questioned Gio's ability more than I questioned Tanguy's. I thought Tanguy had more ability than Gio, but at the end of the day, I think a lot of people who really like Gio Lo Celso absolutely thought that he was going to be good enough for this system. It was probably more just down to kind of the mental side of things with those guys, whether they were going to be able to cut it. And maybe I guess Lo Celso has been the real surprise, and Tanguy hasn't.
Yeah, he's stronger mentally, it looks like, and because of Ndombele, I don't know, he just disappeared from the
him and Jet Spence shown I guess they've been put up in the transfer window according to a source or according to an article.
Jet Spence, what a waste of a signing. God damn, what the fuck was the point? What was the point? Jesus.
I don't know.
Hilarious. Well done, Levy. I mean, that was Levy signing. Well done.
It was really fun to also spend 3 months of the transfer window talking about that transfer, and then for it to happen so late and everything too. I don't know. It's insane. But I guess Jet Spence, maybe just quickly, Daniel, did that mean Conte was right or wrong about him in the middle about the guy? What do you think?
It looks like he was right.
I don't want to dig up that bag of worms. Yeah.
No, it looks like he was right in some ways. Attitude problems, maybe. Lack of effort. Because, I mean, he's got talent.
It could be just quality. What if it's just quality? What if he really just doesn't cut it, in the Premier League as much as some of his competition? Emerson is there. Pedro Porro is there. He has competition, in those spots.
Yeah, he could. I mean, he's definitely, third best there. So, yeah. Go back to Nottingham Forest and do your stuff there.
Yeah, and then there was even a link today for Brendan Johnson, because Spurs, I don't know what your thoughts are in this. Spurs are kind of looking at, Kane is more or less staying, but we're also at the same time kind of looking at deals for players that could replace Kane, maybe in case he leaves on a free, Gift Orban. Brennan Johnson was linked to us today. We were thinking about giving away Jet Spence to Forest and then bringing in a Brennan Johnson. Like, what do you make of these sort of kind of replacement ideas? Some of them have been less of the household name type players that maybe we would expect. They're kind of more younger, kind of lesser proven players.
Yeah, it's more of a backup that can learn from Kane, more than a replacement. What's that? I mean, the only replacement I would accept is Kulu Muani from Frankfurt.
Yeah,
That's the
I
only
like him.
replacement. He's fantastic.
Yeah, he's
But
sick.
I don't know why we just don't try and go for him, to be honest. Anyway, no, why not? Try. Why? Come on, need more quality up front. But because he can play on the left as well. But anyway, not bad. But yeah, no, Brendan Johnson, don't know too much about it. He had a good season last season for Nottingham, but it's not good enough.
Yeah,
to
I think we
step
still
that up yet.
Yeah, still wait to see more. Still wait to see
And
more.
and what's his name from Ghent?
Orban, yeah.
Orban, yeah, he looks good as well. But
have you seen some of his shots? Like that dude who can hit it. That
can
guy,
hit it.
like, that's what I like about him, is that when
Yeah.
he strikes the ball, it like looks like he breaks the net, sort of guy.
Yeah, definitely a little bit. It reminds me a little bit of Drogba, actually.
He played up in
Numbers
Norway,
and-
by the way.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he
See
played
how
in like the
it's-
second division or something of Norway. He's had a
Jesus.
crazy like year where he was at one stage playing in, I think it might have been Togo, or I forget, one of the countries right next to the Ivory Coast, and or next to Nigeria too, and he was playing there, and then he went to Norway or something like that, like, and like then went back to Africa because it didn't end up doing too well. Then went back to like Norway again, absolutely lit it up, and was sold to Ghent like less than a year ago. Was sold to Ghent for like 3 million. And has like scored, whatever ridiculous amount of goals since he's gone against, like, and everything. So he's had a hell of a year. He is a guy that has literally come from nowhere in the space of like 14 months, 15 months time.
I would try and get him because he could be one of those that, skyrockets and a huge club goes for him next season if we don't go for him now.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of like that. Sort of like Kim Min-jae for when he was not known, So
yeah, I feel the same way about those type of players. There's so many like just unearthed gems like that
yeah,
Spurs should definitely take more of a risk on. You ready for season prediction time, Daniel? Want to start throwing those up my way? Yeah. What else were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say a little bit worried about the high line we played, and when Emerson and Doji like came in a lot, I don't know how I feel about that. I gotta get used to it, and that's the main thing, I guess, because we did get a lot of what's the word, caught in the high line, and when Premier League teams like Brighton and stuff like that comes, then we can get highly damaged. So that's the only little bit issue. But with Van de Ven coming in and his pace, I think that could help. That's why he's gone for him. I don't, that could have been a little bit too much, but I'm really looking forward to see Van de Ven. So with Romero.
Is it, when we watch like Guardiola though, right? How his team just has ridiculous positions, and like the players are always holding these bizarre sort of areas in the pitch, and like you see fullbacks becoming defensive midfielders, you see center backs becoming right backs, and all of that. Is that something that we're kind of going through right now? Just kind of this unlearning of the conventional positions of sort of players and stuff like that.
Yeah, it looks like. I mean, Angie is a huge, of course, Pep. He's been influenced by Pep. So, and of course, like I said, you just got to get used to it. And this season, anyway, for me, is a trial season. I'm not gonna have any opinions. I'm just gonna enjoy it, to be honest, because I know this is gonna be, it's gonna be ups and downs.
You have like low
probably.
Expectations in a way, like you're not as putting as much pressure onto the team, as much expectations into it. You're saying?
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to play good football, enjoy the football, because that Shakhtar Donetsk, I was really enjoying it, really enjoying it. So that's the case, and just give Ange, all the time in the world, because I think that man is is going to be one of the best managers. If it is for us, it could be for someone else. You never know. But I think he's.
You think he's the
the
real
next
deal?
one. Yeah, I think so. I do.
Do you think he's repaired the fan base? Like, he's not completely repaired it, but I thought that that's one of the things that would have been his biggest priority, as you know, to solidify himself, is to unite the fan base, sort of repair kind of the damage done by Conte and the players, and just the whole way the season went. It feels like he kind of did that almost overnight, like practically. Like, it's strange. Like, we haven't even played one game of the Premier League, and it feels like a lot of the fan base is sort of kind of united back together in some sort of way. That's what's impressive to me about him.
Yeah, he's completely. You see every player have a smile on their face. Even the game yesterday, you saw like every fan was up for it, you know. And that's what his main thing. One big family together, and that's what he's looking to bring, hopefully. So
I like it. I like it. I also just quickly like the fact that Shakhtar, I also thought, sort of tried to still play their game. It's not like they just sat back the whole time. They still tried to sort of play out the back and things like that. And Monor Salman, it looks like, we officially got him now. And Daniel Levy wasn't there to do the negotiations. Maybe he just left a cardboard cutout of himself or something like that, for him to negotiate with. Where will Spurs finish, Daniel? Let's talk about some of the season predictions. Domestic trophy as well. Do you feel like there's a chance of that this season?
Yeah, I think trophy we could go on that, but it's always a chance game, the lottery for trophies anyway. But I think we need to definitely put our old baskets in the trophy more than the league, because the league, I still think 7th, 6th, the league for me, maybe 5th. I mean, we don't have European football, so that could, have a say in it. So I think highest 5th, then I'm being really. If we need another centre back anyway. So if we get one centre back, then 5th maybe. But 6th, 7th, I think is the likeliest for me.
Mm-hmm. And then
hopefully good 2 trophy runs in the FA Cup and Carabao Cup.
And if he ends up finishing around that range, you thinking then that should mean pushing more for kind of a domestic sort of cup of some kind? And it also feels like no European trophy to compete for, like, and you only have just those competitions to think about. Like, you don't really have to think about like prioritizing really one or the other, I think, all that much. It just sort of the schedule works out that you really usually have at least a few days in between games, whereas the other teams who are in Europe, for the rest of the season, from pretty much after August, once Champions League starts coming in and, the European competitions start coming in, you pretty much are playing every 3 days, right? You're playing every other, playing 2 to 3 times a week, every single week, whereas Spurs can benefit from just not having to do that. They just don't have to think about it that way. I don't even know if you do have to prioritize anything. You just sort of go to each game and, plan for each one because you have a lot of time to do it.
Yeah. But also, like I think Chelsea on the pitch sadly looks really good. So I think they're going to be up there this season.
I haven't been watching other teams as much like this preseason.
Really?
I've been kind of keeping my head down.
I watched Chelsea; they look really good. But Aston Villa, I think Aston Villa probably have the best transfer window out of anyone so far.
Mm-hmm.
With this, that they are be signing. Jesus Christ, what a sign!
Yeah,
and Brighton as well. They're still doing their Brighton stuff, so they're always going to be there now for me. So yeah, and the other teams that finish has improved a lot as well. So I just think,
Brighton are in that territory though, where they now have much higher expectations than they're used to, right? It's not as much sort of like a, free punch, sort of free hit type scenario, right? They sort of kind of have maybe more expectations, right? They could slip, like they could go backwards from here instead of just constantly going up. Whereas before it was always just going up and up and up and up. And, it was not easy, but it was easier for them to just do better than what they did the previous season. Now it's going to be truly hard for them to do better than what they did previous seasons. Surprise of the season, disappointment of the season. Who's going to let us down? Who's going to surprise us?
Surprise! It could. I think actually Ndoji is going to be the surprise. I think he's going to have one hell of a season because he's already improved defensively for me. and he's already amazing in attack. So I think he's going to be a superstar already. Also, Van de Ven actually could be like just completely fitting completely straight away.
Mhm.
So he could be another one.
I find it
Disappointment.
I find it
Oh,
funny
sorry.
just quickly on how much we were told. Like, felt like there were certain journalists and whatnot that were just like being super explicit that like Udoji could not play in a back four and like he's incapable of doing it and all this sort of thing. And I don't know, like it felt like it was sort of like, well, let's just wait and see. Like, let's just give
Yeah.
it a good old seeing eye test before we
Yeah.
kind of make that sort of assumption.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
right away, he's shown, maybe because it is the system that benefits him. It's not as much of a conventional back forward, but still, like, I don't know. I just found that quite funny that it was labeled that he just is incapable of ever learning. You know, it felt like to be in a back
That's.
four.
I mean, what? He's still a kid, for fuck's sake. Of course,
Yeah,
he's going to
that
learn.
too, right?
It's
Yeah,
fun.
he's got like 10 years to learn how to do it still.
Yeah. Jesus. After
Yeah.
us already. After you, goddamn. Yeah.
But disappointment. I'm not sure if I got that from you.
No. Sonny or Kulusevski, sadly.
Interesting. Kulusevski, some people seem to think, right? Like people are excited about the new deal, but other people are like, well, what have you done for me lately?
Yeah, it's so sad because I love him and I don't want to say that, but I just don't see. I mean, it's still early, come on, but I just don't see improvements, and I see the same old really one-dimensional stuff happening from him.
He's not doing anything different. Yeah, or
No,
anything
but
like.
I don't want it because I love I love him.
No.
I can't do it.
I don't need to push you too far down the road.
No, I don't. It could be also, like you said, Pedro Porro, actually, because of and I said that when we bought him. Like, I'm scared now because he can't. I mean,
could it be a Spence type signing?
Yeah, but he could play right wing. I don't know why people don't assume that, because he can score, he can assist, and he just can't defend. And he's the one that he can't really defend it. I mean, he struggles hard to do with what's happening behind him every time. So sadly, but I love him as well. So I don't want disappoint. Actually, fuck it. There's no disappointment in the season. Everyone's gonna be great. Fuck it.
I love it. Absolutely love it.
Except, actually, no disappointment of the season. Dyer and Sanchez staying. That's the disappointment, because they're still here. Get rid of them. I can't do it. See, that's always going to be a sad for me if they stay and we don't use them. Even if he doesn't use them, if they're just there, I'm going to be annoyed.
Absolutely.
Just have to see their faces. Yeah.
That's also because think of what we were saying towards the end of the season last season, right? We were just like, I will protest. I will never watch Spurs again if I have to see these guys play ever again. It was sort of like we were all just livid with them, like pretty much the majority of the team. And I know you were, which is why you needed that vacation, Daniel. So I'm kind of with you. That's actually probably right. That is sort of the disappointment of the season, is probably some of the outgoings that won't happen. Right. Yeah, some of the guys that we thought should have been out the door straight away, before even the preseason gets kicked off, these guys should be sent packing, have not been sent packing. That is a huge disappointment.
Yeah. No. Whoa.
Who's grabbing the most goals? Who's grabbing the most assists?
Well, of course, King Harry's, of course, going to score.
Anybody but Madison grabbing maybe most assists? Would you say somebody else could?
Oh, see now. Could be no, maybe Basuma, something like that, could grab a lot of assists. I don't know, because it's hard, but I just think Madison's going to be such a vital point. They're just going to have so much of the ball and just feed a lot of players.
If Porro were to be the opposite of a disappointment of the season, I could see him actually grabbing some of the most assists. That would just be him, being the opposite of what I just said, where he does end up finding a good spot in the team, somehow, and he does end up, playing. But this for Porro, it's weird. He would have to end up playing ahead of Emerson or playing ahead of Kulusevski, both of which are looking hard right now for him. So that's what I think is going to be interesting for him. Anything else that maybe you wanted to talk about this evening, Daniel?
No, I talked a lot now. Actually,
All
got a lot
good. I
of
mean, it's
messages.
not a
Yeah.
big queue or anything tonight, so it's we don't have to be as quick about it. So it's all season prediction time. You got to get through it.
Yeah.
You gotta have to have a lot to say. So thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, only have to say, like, I'm really looking forward to spending this next season with the IrishHotspur family again. That's
Good man.
always one of the best part, spending
We're happy to
time
have
with
you back.
guys. Yeah,
I wish
it's
Dave
gonna
were
be
here. I
good.
wish Dave were here, but we're happy to
Yeah.
have you back, Daniel. I'm glad you got a vacation. I hope that those outgoings happen so you don't have to start immediately with disappointment of any kind. But it's good to have you back, and I look forward to going through the pain roller coaster with you once again.
Yes, it's gonna be something like that, definitely. Yes.
Alrighty. Big up to you, Daniel. Enjoy your evening, my man.
Big up. Yeah, you too. Come on, you Spurs. See
Come on,
you
you
later.
Spurs. See you
Bye
soon.
bye.
Have a good night. Everybody, big up to Daniel all the way up in Norway, Hoy Beer Glover, as well as somebody that I just think has, maybe needed, a vacation. I remember Daniel was really losing it towards the end of the last season, as everybody was, and he needed that sort of break. And it's good to have him back for the dramatic roller coaster that is Tottenham Hotspur. But we're going to keep pushing on here, and I believe it's time for Queen Ellie. Queen Ellie. I was about to bring you on there for a second, as well as Dermatron, but both of them just escaped. Ellie might give you a second. Actually, no, it was KPV next. KPV, I almost pulled the yellow card there. I almost pulled the red card on you. And then it was Ellie afterwards. Sorry about that, KPV. My bad, my man. My bad. What's up, KPV?
What's up? Not much. Just been watching the highlights of yesterday's game, and I hear the king is staying. That's good to hear. The king of the North London Derby is staying, and yeah, we rejected the latest and final bid.
How many have we rejected, do you think? How many, how many have we swatted away from Bayern?
I say that's about 4 we rejected. They haven't met. I know Daniel Levy wanted about 120 or something. That was how much, but they looks like he's staying. I know he doesn't want to sign a new contract, which he won't, but there's still time for him to sign it if we win to the big trophy that is the Prem. I think don't count us out yet. Never want us off.
What do we
we've got
still need to win a trophy? Could we do it
Yeah.
right now with Mickey Van de Ven, or we still need one more?
We could do it with Van de Ven and Romero. We need at least one more. I know apparently we've walked away from Tap Sober because Leverkusen won, I don't know, 50 or 60 million. And that's how much they want. But yeah, I want him in because we need centre backs and we're only getting Van de Ven.
Need center backs out the door too, KPV, right? Sanchez hasn't
Yeah.
left. Moonhead hasn't left. They're even making documentaries about Eric Dyer. Yeah, that shows that he's staying. Ben Davies, Rodon, all those guys haven't even left yet.
Yeah, all those guys haven't left yet. I hear Spence has been put on the transfer list. Not sure if I agree with that. He didn't get minutes under Antonio Conte, which I think is a disgrace. Conte
You feel bad
didn't
for the
want him.
Jedi.
Yeah, the Jedi. Why didn't Conte give him minutes? Which I think is a disgrace. We bought him in the January, I think it was.
I think we brought him in that summer, KPV. Why isn't it working for him though under Ange?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Ange said he's not in his plans. Why did we need another homegrown and we're getting this young English guy? I think Phillips. We've just bought Phillips. He's joined and yeah, we're getting this Argentine striker who I've not heard of, and we're getting Van de Ven, another player named Van. But as I've stated many times, it doesn't beat that deadline day signing of Van der Vaart in 2010. It will never top that, and everyone even agrees it will never top that. It doesn't top that deadline day signing of Van der Vaart. So people agree with that already, and it will never top that when we signed him in 2010, Van der Vaart from, I think, Real Madrid.
Do you think Lo Celso was playing as an agent in the deal for that Valise guy? I think that Valise guy has come from Lo Celso's former club.
Yeah, so yeah, I believe he was playing agent, and like, yeah, everyone else been playing like agents, like Agent Lo Celso. Yeah.
And what do you think, KPB, of the fact that also too the sorry, I was going to move on to maybe some of the the Shakhtar kind of games that you said you were watching some highlights of. What did you make of the game? Who was your man of the match? Was it King H, with the 4 goals, or was it maybe Maddison?
I gotta go for the King, Harry Kane, because he was brilliant. 4 goals, and yeah, like, applauded the fans, I think, after the game and before the game. So yeah, give him credit where it's due, and been a great 7, and he's looks like he is staying. So him, man of the match. But some people gone for Mads, like James Maddison, like, brilliant. Yeah, Mads was brilliant yesterday, and Kulu, I thought, had a great game because he was brilliant. 2 assists, and like, it looks like people gonna have Kulu and Mads in their FPL teams. Like, yeah, have that duo in your team, Kulu and Maddison. I've already put them in, and I think the surprise of this season is probably going to be Maddison and Kulu. Like, yeah, great partnership, and looks like it's going to happen. Yeah, great partnership's going to be. So,
who do you think is grabbing the fantasy Premier League title? For the Irish Hotspur, KPV. Is it going to be Dave? Is it going to be you? Is it going to be someone else in the?
Am I in it? Because it doesn't look like I'm in it. Like,
the link should be there for you, KPV.
Where is it?
Just check it in the community section after this. When you're done on this call, you should check it. It's in your community section, my man. I put another update for you. And then if that doesn't work for you, then just text me and I'll send it your way.
Who's gonna win it? Hopefully I can. Like, I hope to try and win it, but yeah, we're gonna have to wait and see. Like, might be Ben from We Are Tottenham TV, but we'll have to wait and see. Like, I hopefully will win it because.
What's your team name?
12 Jan Vertongans.
That's what we need right now. I would take 12 Jan Vertongans to fix that back line.
Like, we need bring back Toby Alderweireld, man, because ever since we signed Toby in 2015, we've not had the best defense. But now we're getting Van der Ven, but yeah, like, Romero and him could perform a great partnership, and we'll have to see. But if one of them was to get injured, then we're back to square one. Dyer, Davis, and like, no one wants moon boots or moonhead at the club. No. Like, we're back to square one like last season. Like, he did have a good season under Conte when we got top 4, but this last season, shocking. Conceding 63 goals, shocking. That's not a great.
No, not good enough. Not good enough, KPB.
Yeah, we need another keeper as well because we haven't sold Lloris and Vicario. Like, I think we need another keeper as well. Like,
you're not confident in Forster?
Forster, I know he saved a penalty against Forest, and that was with his legs. But Forster maybe can do great. Like, I know he's saved a few penalties before, but maybe if Vicario does get sent off, like, Lloris, I don't think has ever been sent off in the Prem. I think he's only been injured once, and that was the Brighton game when, as I said, Liverpool won the league a couple of seasons ago, and he got injured. And we lost 3-0. So, and who had to step in? Gazzaniga. So I'd like Gaza back. Bring Gazzaniga back, because some people are still like, Super Ollie T is actually a fan of his, and he actually saw him. Like, penalty save at Watford before the pandemic, and we only drew 0-0, and we couldn't beat them 2 times. But yeah, I want Gazaniga back, man. I actually liked him. He was pretty good. 14 saves with Liverpool at Anfield, even though we lost 2-1 a couple of seasons ago. He made 14 saves, so like I'd want Gazaniga back. So
I know you're a big Gaza. I know that you like Gazaniga. I always remember that. Somehow he fits his way into these fan cams. Somehow he fits his way into these combos.
Man, like, yeah, I've got one of the goalkeeper shirts of him. I think it's the 18-19 season shirt, the purple one. Yeah, I've got that with his name on the back. And he did play in the Carling Cup games and on our way to the semis, and he actually played brilliant. But yeah, like Forster, I'll happily keep, but I'd rather have Gazaniga as well with Vicario. But yeah, people, if you like, I know Ellie's probably going to agree, bring Gazaniga back, because I actually, as I said, I did
make
like
the
him.
Argentinian mafia stronger.
Yeah, make the Argentinian mafia stronger, man. Like Romero won him back. I know Lo Celso would as well, because we've got another Argentina player. So, but
yeah, we got Luis coming in through the door. KPV, I got to ask you some predictions for next season before I let you go, my man. Where will Spurs finish?
Top 4, and yeah, top 4, and hopefully
Champions
win
League.
Champions League, get back in it, because that's where we belong. But those 11 red bottlers are in it, but yeah, I haven't seen the Champions League group for those 11 red bottlers yet, but hopefully they'll get Munich and Real Madrid and they'll get knocked out. Yeah,
And surprised that the Wolf Mallor agrees he wants another keeper in, like you said. Surprise of the season though, KPV, and then disappointment of the season.
Surprise of the season. I'm gonna go. Let's say surprise of the season. Gonna say, yeah, Kulu Madison, and yeah, I want disappointment. Gonna be Sanchez and Dyer staying, but yeah, top scorer and assist, obviously Kane, top scorer. Why not? So 4th Premier League Golden Boot. Why not to end the finale at Tottenham?
Another Golden Boot for HK. Absolutely love it. And
cool.
then Madison is grabbing the assist.
Yeah, Mads grabbing the assist. Like Kane actually had top score and most assists a couple of seasons ago when it was still during a pandemic. But yeah, most goals and assists. But he was robbed of the player of the year, even though he had most goals and assists. He didn't get it, and KDB won it. Lucky Belgian man. But this season, why was Son not nominated for it last season? That's still disrespect to the season before. Son wasn't nominated, which disrespect the Korean king. But hopefully Kane or Son wins it this time, because Kane and Son have been brilliant servants. But yeah, top goal scorer Harry Kane, and assist, I'd go for Mads. Like, yeah,
nice.
playmaker. We're talking about,
nice.
but yeah, those
and then
two.
who's gonna be letting out the dogs for the first game of the season? Who's letting the dogs out for us, KPV? You gonna give it to Dave? You gonna give it to Ellie? Someone else? Tyler? Maybe? Who's letting the dogs out?
Ellie again, as always. Ellie, Ellie, you're up next. So enjoy,
nice.
and I'll see
Andrew's
you all.
dogs. Letting out Andrew's dogs.
And yeah, so it should be in the community section. I'll check. If not, then I'll
just text me then, KPV.
Yeah.
I look forward to competing with you.
Yeah, back again. All right, everyone, I'm out. So I won't keep Ellie waiting because she wants to talk about the game. So I'm out, people, and I'll see you all after the Brentford game on Sunday. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Top man, KPV. See you soon, my man. Good to see you. Everybody, big up to KPV, absolute legend. Always good to chat with him, and he's given us his season predictions before we come up against Brentford, but we're going to keep moving on. Everybody, if you're still listening along with us, please smash the like button, and if you do want to support the channel, feel free to grab a membership. I am going to take the link down now. If you have been holding on to it, please do hit it now, because I am taking it down, and there are only a few guests left, so it would be nice to know who I still have maybe left that's still considering coming on. But everybody, really do appreciate anybody who has come on and had a chat with me, and everybody that's been in the comments thus far. Really do appreciate you all. But we're going to go on to, I believe, our next guest of the evening, which is like KPV kind of gave us a guest too, which is Ellie. Speaking to Ellie Queen Hoiberg.
Yeah, hi. I'm keeping my camera off because I'm expecting somebody in very soon.
No worries, Ellie.
Yeah, sorry about that. But do you know what? I'm going to big up KPV because he's such a lovely lad. What a great guy. And who let the dogs out?
Different set of dogs this season, Ellie. And just dogs.
I want to big up the ladies as well, because the Women's World Cup's been going on. And you guys are slowly getting into it, But England were very lucky today. Very, very lucky.
Penalties.
Yeah, because that.
Well, at least you got through penalties. We didn't.
Off the park. They really did.
We didn't get through penalties, Ellie. I mean, at least you could. You were able to survive the penalties. We couldn't.
That's right, but USA were a bit underwhelming all tournament. So they didn't really get going, did they? And Rapinoe's getting older. She couldn't quite do it. So, do you know what? Alex Morgan tried, but they substituted her really, I think, unfairly, really, because she was the only one who was really going at it. And I think she was very disappointed when she come on. But
Spurs
in terms of
as
the World Cup, it's been magic. It's been absolutely brilliant. And just getting on to the game now, yesterday's game, because I don't want to harp on about the women all the time because this is a male show. Right, so I'm thinking about what questions you're going to ask me, Jack.
Do you want
to take it?
What's your sort of lesson or maybe theme from the Shakhtar game? Some people have some concerns, others have big positives that they take from it. Do you have any worries or concerns from the Shakhtar game, or is it mostly positives?
Mostly positives, because we were on the front foot a lot and we made a lot of attacks, especially Kulu. He was involved in a lot of our moves. But I was feeling sorry for Sonny because we weren't really playing it out to him a lot. And he was getting quite frustrated, I saw. And he was calling for the ball and it was going Kulu's side a lot of the time. So he was isolated on that left wing. I thought it was a bit... I think he didn't like that position, to tell you the truth. I could see it in his face, and he had he painted quite a frustrating figure on the pitch. But in regards to the rest of the match, I would say when we push up and we play a high line, we sort of get caught out with balls coming over the top. I mean, if it was a better team, they would have punished us easily. Because they were just poor at finishing. I mean, they only got one goal, so that just shows you, and we got 5. So the balance of the play was in our favour, but it was quite worrying when we were caught at napping quite a few occasions as well, in that first half especially, and then the second half. Do you know what? I didn't take my glasses, so I couldn't see what they were doing. So I had to look up on the monitor, Jack.
Someone said
I can't see far without my glasses, but I saw everything in front of me. Yeah, and I thought we had a pretty good game. We kept the ball ticking over. Maddison was very good on the ball, as you would expect. Udogie had a pretty good game as well. I thought he was quite exciting to watch. For the first half an hour, I thought he was Basuma. Until somebody told me that's not Basuma, that's Udogie, right? Because I'll tell you, my eyesight is not very good, right? But
he's also playing as like a midfielder, where he's so tucked in, to the midfield. And Emerson too, right? Emerson was also playing as practically a defensive midfielder. It felt like at times.
Yeah,
do you think that's something we have to get used to, like the the fullbacks tucking in like that and sort of playing that type of a position. We haven't really been
quite
used to that
liked
sort
it,
of
you
thing.
know, because the continuity and the fluidity of our play was very good. And like they kept the ball ticking over and they got it forward very quickly, which I liked, which I never saw under Conte. It was like more of a slow progression into Kane. We didn't do that. Kane was playing like more like a proper number 9, you know, and he didn't really drop deep a lot. A couple of times he did, but not very often. But I thought Kulu was quite good. He was, see, with Kulu, right? Sometimes he's frustrating as well because he wants to play on his left foot all the time, and he doesn't use his right foot. But he was quite tricky. He's quite an exciting player to watch, but he was frustrating at the same time because he was losing the ball quite often as well. And he was with Kulu, they double bank on him. Whatever team we're playing, they always put 2 players on him. He can beat the first man, but it's just getting past that second man. He done it on a few occasions, but I just think his shot was a bit too tame.
Okay.
You know, he
I know what you mean. I felt like
you
he
know
was
what I mean? It was
creating,
like
but
a
he
powder
wasn't.
puff shot.
Yeah. But he didn't get enough umph behind it. It felt like, ever.
Yeah, and then he was bending them, and he was like last season he was doing that as well. He was bending them, and they were going wide instead of into the net. So he's got to learn how to score really, because the first season I think he scored 5 or 6, didn't he, or maybe even more, and then he assisted quite a lot, right? But I wanted to see Porro, but I don't know why Porro didn't get on. It was a bit weird. Is he injured? I don't know.
I'm a little concerned too, because I feel like Porro would have been bringing what maybe Kulusevski wasn't doing, right? You would have been crossing it in more. He could have been a bit more dynamic on that right foot, right? And 2, I think Porro is a very decent finisher, actually, from what we can tell. He finishes some of those chances that he gets given. He has a pretty good shot on him.
Got a fantastic shot, hasn't he? So I was disappointed not to see him. Other than that, I thought Emerson played quite well. Udoji, Højbjerg done his thing as usual. Done a couple of decent passes, really good crossfield passes to feet. It was really nice. I disagree with a bit of the chat saying that he had a poor game. Some people said he had a poor game because he hoofed the ball out once and he got an earful from Postecoglou, right? But it just came to him awkward. And when you do that, you just got to clear your lines, you know, because otherwise you'll do an Eric Dyer and give them an opportunity, you know. Just clear your lines, Højbjerg. You know,
but even apart from that, he had a good game. It felt like that was just something taken out of isolation, and then everybody's kind of made it out to be that he had a bad game. I think even if that's even put as a mistake, like, yeah, he can put his hands up, but he still had a good game despite that mistake.
I don't see it as a mistake. I just see it like it came to him awkward and he just hoofed it. That's the best thing. When in doubt, just put it in Rosette, right? Just put it in Rosette. But he made himself available. He was ticking the ball over very well. And, you know, he was controlling that middle of the park, really. But when you think about it, we weren't playing a team of any substance. They came. It's a friendly game, so you can't really judge players in a friendly game. When you get the competitive game, when the league starts, then we're going to see who's cooking and who's not. You know, so I just hope that they don't sell him because I love, you know, that I love the player. I think he's fabulous. He's not everybody's cup of tea, but he's my cup of tea. That's what I like. Because look, you know, Jack, I like players who play for the badge and who are committed and they really work hard for the team. And you can't deny, no one can deny really that he doesn't.
No, Højbjerg.
He does have poor games like any other player. You know, he's not superhuman. Anyway, we'll move on from Højbjerg because otherwise we'll be here all day.
Do you want to go on to the Harry Kane situation just quickly? Do you feel like, what did you make since you were there, Ellie? Do you feel like he's staying? He's going? You're still not sure?
No, I think he's staying, right? I've been saying it in Irish Hotspur WhatsApp group all day, having arguments with people, actually.
Defending his honor.
You you know what? It's not an argument; it's a debate. But it's like everybody's got their opinion. You've got to respect it. So but you've got your own opinion as well. So you put your £5 worth in. But in regards to Kane, he didn't make any suggestion that he's leaving, because when he came on the pitch, he was just looking into the crowd, clapping as normal, and then went off. There was no emotion, nothing to say that he's leaving. Because last time when we thought he was leaving, look what he did. He was crying, he was hugging Sonny, he was patting him on his back. You could see he wanted to leave that time. But this time, maybe he's confused himself what the club want as well, because the club are sending him mixed messages as well. Because 1 minute they're dealing with Bayern Munich, and then we're rejecting their offers and we're pushing them away. And he's not even said that he wants to leave the club. He hasn't said it formally. So he's trying to keep his reputation intact with the fans. But I just believe he's staying. I can't see him going anywhere. We've got a week to the season start,
Yeah. And if he boards that Barcelona plane, surely that's also a further indication that he's staying.
Definitely. And he'll want to play against Barcelona as well. Why would he want to miss that game? It's like a fabulous opportunity to show where he's at and where his level's at. And if he does want to go, and he'll push it himself to go. That's a perfect way to go against Barcelona. What better team to play? The only other team would be Real Madrid, really. When you think about European teams who are successful.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Ellie, can I get your season predictions? I have a few of them I have to ask you. Where are we going to finish?
Okay, this is an interesting one, Jack. You put me on the spot now. I have been listening to other people's ones, but I was thinking myself, where do I think we're going to finish?
Yeah, were they higher than lower than you expected? Were people all over the place? What did you make of others' kind of predictions?
I think they were fair in their predictions, most people. I honestly think we're going to have a tremendous season, because we've got some very exciting players and they're attack-minded, which I love. And if we keep Harry Kane, he'll be popping them in like, candy. But I think maybe third or fourth, I would say. That would be a realistic position. I don't think we're going to finish lower than that. Not fifth or sixth. I think third or fourth, because we've got Harry Kane, we've got Sonny, we've got Richarlison in the background, we've got Porro, we've got Kulu, we've got Bentancur coming back, and then we've got Udogie, we've got Van de Ven. If we add Tapsoba as well, I would go for third position rather than fourth. But I think we're capable. Yeah.
Well, I've gone as far down as sixth, Ellie. I feel like we might have some growing pains in the beginning, some tough matches to sort of kind of figure it out still. And I also sort of feel like it's such a tough league that maybe the competition will be a bit too much for us this season. I sort of feel like maybe next season is maybe more our season, especially if Kane were to stay for next season. That would be really something to think about. But I don't know, maybe just there was so much that needed to happen this summer, all the the incomings, outgoings. It would be crazy that we were to put on, a great season like that. Could you see us doing any sort of domestic trophy push of any kind?
Yeah, of course. We got to go for the cups, because we were very bad last season and the season before that. We just were terrible against Sheffield United, Middlesbrough. We were crap. Right? We were really embarrassing as well. But do you know what? I just wanted to touch on one other thing apart from the league position. I wanted to touch about Vicario. He's a fabulous communicator.
Oh, really?
I was so impressed with him. Like, he really does drill players as well, and like the way he's very commanding, right? And he comes out of the 18-yard box and he's talking to the players, where to be, to push up, to stay back. I think that's fabulous for a goalie. No wonder, was it Dino Zoff who said, or was it Buffon? One of the two.
Yeah.
Was it Buffon who bigged him up? Or was it
I
Dino
believe so.
Zoff? One of those two goalkeepers were bigging him up in the Italian press, right? And I know why now. He made some fabulous saves as well, and his positional sense is really good. right? And I just love his communication, and he just keeps it simple. He doesn't panic, passes the ball out beautifully. Very good goalkeeper. I was very impressed with him.
Mm-hmm. And surprise of the season, Ellie, and disappointment of the season.
Right. I think the surprise of the season, right, is going to be Udogie.
Yep.
Because a
Common
lot of
answer
people,
today.
yeah, I loved him. I think he was fabulous. And like, he's very exciting to watch. He's very competent on the ball as well. You know, when he picks it up, his only fault is to get forward. But defensively as well, he was very competent as well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how he progresses in our team. He's a very likable lad as well. You know, he's always got that smile on his face, and
Mm-hmm.
he was just good. He was just all good all round footballer. You know, very
Yeah.
good close control, dribbling skills, hard working. What more do you want from a
Could have
player?
scored, definitely, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, he did a really good shot. Um, it and the most disappointing player depends who plays in the back. Right. So if it's Dyer, it's I've got to choose Dyer. Sorry, but
Some have
if he,
said that the disappointment has just been the fact that Dyer and Sanchez are still around. Like a lot of like I think it was
yeah,
Tyler brought up or Daniel brought up that sort of the fact that those guys are still around is a disappointment for the season.
the thing is, Sanchez hasn't gone, and Dyer, he's like I said this before. He's like he's got more lives than a cat. That guy, he just survives everything. You know what it is with Dyer, right? He's very personable around the club. Everybody
Mhm.
loves him,
Yep.
right? So for him to be pushed out will be a lot. You know,
Yeah.
I think
You have to really
he
not
had.
rate him, I think, in order for him
The
to be
thing
pushed
is, I
out.
think they don't actually rate him, but they love him as a human being. I think
Hmm.
they realise his limitations, but they give him a chance. And like a lot of managers, they've bigged him up. Even Conte, when he first came in, said we can turn him into a top centre back, but he just hasn't got it. He just hasn't got it.
No,
No,
not good
he
enough for me.
he tries. I'll give him his dues. He does try, the lad, right? But he just hasn't got the ball skills, and he hasn't got the attributes as a defender to seek out danger and anticipate it. You know,
Hmm.
he's
Hmm.
always found wanting. So
Hmm. Hmm.
I just hope I just hope Ange realizes that and doesn't play him a lot.
Yeah, I agree with those predictions there, Ellie. And then my last ones I'm going to ask you are top scorer and most assists.
Okay, right. So if Kane stays, he's definitely going to be our top scorer without a doubt. And I think the most assists, I think it's going to be Udogie.
This is I've been wanting something else other than Madison, Ellie. I've been wanting
Yeah,
it could be it could be Madison. It's the easy answer, but tell me why
yeah.
it's
I
going to be
just wanted to
Udogie.
go something different because Maddison, I think he's going to concentrate on getting those goals as well. All right, because he was trying to score yesterday. He was trying to carve open little pockets of space for himself to get a shot in, and they were just delaying. They were overplaying it a bit. You know, when you got to have that little bit of a cutting edge when you get into that final third. You know, up to the middle, and then when we got to the final third, we were overthinking it and overpassing it too much. Right, so I'm going to go for Udogie because I love the boy already.
I
Yeah.
like that. I like that. And do you feel like, Ellie, though, for next season, is it going to be a season where we finish, strong? Is it going to be sort of like hovering around fifth and sixth the whole time? Will we be kind of up and down the table? Where will we go?
No,
How is the season going to go?
I think we're going to have a slow start and a fantastic middle and a really, really good end, right? So I think the start's going to be hard, because we're going to be bedding in, getting used to the style. And even Ange admitted it himself. He said we need a lot of work still. There's still lots of things to do to get this team up to scratch on how he wants the game played. Yeah, so it's a learning curve. And while we're learning, we're going to be losing some games early doors. But by the time the middle comes and then we get Bentancur back as well, that's going to be a fabulous addition to our
Yeah,
side because you
that's
see
always
how
true.
fantastic he was. But it will take him 3 or 4 or 5 games to get his, get his mojo going as well. So we've just got to be patient, right? Because it'll be the rough with the smooth, but mostly smooth. Once we get into that middle part of the season, we'll push on.
Okay.
100%.
Pushing on. And
come
Ellie,
on.
any final points that you wanted to maybe make before I let you go, dear?
I just I hope everybody who comes into the club starts buzzing, and gets us going, and we get some more signings. I'd love to see another experienced centre back. Even Tap Sober would be a great signing, or some. Do you know what? Everybody's like dissing what's his name, Tosin, but he'll be a great signing as well because he's a very decent defender. So
I think anybody who replaces Eric Dyer will be a great signing because that means he's replacing Eric Dyer and we don't have to watch that guy anymore. That's how I think about it.
It's true. Who wants to see Eric Dyer making mistake after mistake? And also he slows down the play. He's too slow and deliberate on the ball. He wouldn't be good at moving the ball forward. Was like, Romero, he needs to speed up as well when he's moving the ball forward. It was a bit too deliberate on the ball, but I did like his general play and his defensive awareness is fantastic. And he's done one crunching tackle. And the guy behind me goes, bloody hell, this is a friendly. What is he going to do this season when it's a real match? But that's Romero for you. That's what you get. You get blood and thunder. He's a committed defender and he loves defending. I wouldn't coach that out of him personally. I was having a chat with Adrian Schrocker. Adrian Schrocker? We were outside the Spurs ground and he goes, the old-fashioned way is to go in hard, In the olden days when football was real men, you'd go in hard and you could get away with it as well. So he saw Romero's tackling as less aggressive than in the olden days, which I did agree with him. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing what Romero can do for us this season as well. And that one's for Mia. She's my girl, so I've got to look after her.
She wants to see the early crunch from Romero. Absolutely.
Yeah. Spurs between the lines. Let's give her a plug.
Let's give her a plug, Ellie. Let's give her a plug. And thank you for joining me this evening, Ellie. And I wish you luck for the next rounds. I wish you luck for the next rounds with England. Yes, what were you about to say?
Also, before I forget, I'm on with Kate Boxall on Just a Girl Who Loves Spurs every Wednesdays. I'm going to be on with her. We're just doing a show where it's two ladies talking about football, talking about life, and having great fun. Because me and Kate, we've got a really good chemistry together. And every Wednesday I'll be on her show, and then I'll be doing some shows myself. I'm just getting set up. So look out for I'll let everybody know anyway on WhatsApp groups what I'm doing. And Kate Spurs Between the Lines, Just a Girl Who Loves Spurs, and Mia Spurs Between the Lines. We've got to big up the ladies.
Absolutely, Ellie. Thank you for representing the ladies tonight. Thank you, Ellie.
That's all right.
We'll see you soon.
And come on, you lionesses. Come
on, you lionesses. Come on, you
Spurs. Take care.
See you soon. Have a good night,
darling.
Ellie. Everybody, big up Ellie. Show her some love. Please head on over to Kate's channel. Head on over to Mia's channel, Spurs Between the Lines, and then Kate's Just a Girl Who Loves Spurs if you want to catch some more of Mia. We have 2 more guests left, and then we're going to be ending off tonight here. We're going to be ending it off with Dermatron and then the one and only Ribsy, who I haven't spoken to in quite a long time. Look forward to that. Dermatron, let's see what he has to say. How are you, Dermot?
Not too bad, Jack. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Still here. He's still here. He hasn't gone. Not for one. Look, I reported last Thursday, me, that a deal had been done. And I tell you one thing about transfers, right? You know yourself, when you do a show, right, and you get news, you go through this dilemma. Do I? Don't I? And you feel if I don't, someone's going to, so I just went with it. So look, it's still in the melting pot, isn't it? Nobody actually knows what's happening. I mean, that's the beauty of transfers. Nobody knows. That's the beauty of football.
Nobody except Dave O'Harris, I think, Dermotron. I think he's
Yeah.
known from the very get-go that he's been staying here the whole time, and I imagine everybody's flipped back and forth, but he stayed very resolute, and knowing that his big H will be staying.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, though, if he's boarding that Barcelona plane, surely it means he's staying?
Not necessarily. Look, every one of us want Kane to stay. There's not one of us who want us to go. The way I've come out of this, my argument's always been, he's got a year left in his contract. Do you take the risk of letting him go for nothing, or do we get what we can get out of him? If he goes on the plane, I think Andrew will play a different team on Wednesday. I don't think he will play the same team as he played on Sunday. I think it'll be a totally new 11. He may get on, say, for 20 minutes at the end. But look, we won't know until the end of the transfer window or to the end of the Brentford game, because he's given that himself as a deadline. So if he starts against Brentford, then we know he's staying. I just wish the club or Harry Kane could have been a little bit more transparent with us fans to let us know what is happening. Somebody could have come out and said, look, this is what it is. It's all been very cloak and dagger. It's all been very kept close quarters. Do you know what I mean? And it leaves a vacuum for every Tom, Dick and Harry to say this is going to happen, that's going to happen, or somebody on Twitter said this, or somebody said that. And I think it leaves it very open for different people, myself included, who try to give us fans the news, which we have to do because it's our job to do it. I mean, we don't get paid by big organizations, but if we feel there's news, we have to bring it out. And look, I have no regret saying about the Kane story. And I have a laugh and joke with Dave and Ollie about it. And there's banter back and forth, which I really enjoy. I enjoy the banter. But look, if he stays, brilliant. We're all happy. Just sign a new contract. Just put us all out of our misery.
But apart from the fans, like at the end of the day, the fans can be put through misery because, we don't really make the decisions at the club. So who does it really benefit, the clarity of Harry Kane's situation? And is there maybe a logical reason for why maybe it's been lasting as long as it has? Because apart from it torturing the fans, who is it really, who does it really matter, that it's actually torturing? If you get
I know some of these deals do have NDAs on them that nobody can talk about them. So maybe there's been a blackout that way. Who does it? I think it helps the club in a way because it keeps the ball rolling on. Do you know what I mean? I think it doesn't help Ange because Ange doesn't know if his best player is going to be there or not. Or he maybe does know and he's not letting on he knows. I think it doesn't really help anyone, but I think it would help the fans to find out what's going on. Because we have this situation where is he, won't he, has he, isn't he? I mean, his wife's been seen all over Europe. I mean, apparently somebody said to me, oh, Harry Kane was seen at the Liverpool game tonight, sitting in the stands. I mean, we know for well he isn't. And he's sitting at home somewhere in London laughing his head off. I just think we need to come out one way or the other before the start of the season. No, we've rejected it. No more bids. Harry, sign the contract. It's there in front of you. Or even sign a year's contract. Sign an extension. Just put us out of our misery because really and truly, we don't want to lose our all-time leading goal scorer. But do you know what I mean? He's got to be committed as well as us, but let's see what happens. If he's still here, I would say he would sign the contract by January. And I think
is it worse for Spurs, in your opinion, to lose him on a free than it is to maybe just, in my opinion, split the problems in half? I think we had far too much to deal with this summer, regardless of Harry Kane's future. All the problems that we had to fix in the midfield, in the defense, in the attack kind of need to be fixed irrespective of whether Harry Kane was, going or staying. Do you feel like it was going to always be too much to do to sell Harry Kane and then also, fix, the absence of him and the departure of him and also fix all those other problems too? Like maybe the way Spurs are seeing it is just maybe deal with the Harry Kane departure the following summer.
Yeah, I think, look, if he was to go anywhere for free, I think that'd be a bigger kick in the teeth because then he can join Man United, Chelsea, whoever for nothing. It's all down to wages then and signing on bonuses. I think we've got more control in it where he goes because He's got a year left in his contract, and we now, between now and January, have a way of, controlling his destiny in a way. Look, I think it was too much for Tottenham to get everything done this window. I think we've done some good business, and I feel the Kane has overshadowed what a good window it has been, to be fair. We've got a centre-back in, we've got Maddison in, we've got a new goalkeeper in, we've got Solomon in, we've got this new exciting prospect from Argentina, who I've seen clips of him, but Jesus, he's good. And we've got Mickey van der Ven in. And also we're looking to go in for Tapsoba. I think we're looking to put in a €50 million bid for him. So, look, we're trying to sort it out in one window, but I think the Harry Kane thing is a separate entity on its own, if you get where I'm going. I think it's separate because we cannot get rid of this Deadwood, which we have to, because nobody will buy the
that's
Deadwood.
Important.
And I think the thing we have to do then is, right, who's not being picked? Like a Dyer. I think Dyer will be kept within the squad. But the likes of Sanchez, Spence, Dombele, people like that need to be sent out and train on their own. I just say, well, look, we'll give you a few months, find a new club, then we'll cancel your contract. And I think that's the way we're going to have to go, because no club's going to come in and pay 15, 20 million for an Eric Dyer or 10, 12 million for a Daniel Sanchez when they look what they've done for the last couple of seasons. Sure. I think also Lo Celso has impressed in pre-season for me. I don't think he deserves another chance, but he deserves to see what he can do. I think, and I think we're looking. I think once we get Mickey van der Ven in the defence, I think we'll have a solid defence. I do. I think we're going to have a really good. We've got a good squad. It's young. It's hungry, and it's something we haven't had since Poch. Because if you look what we had on the Poch, there was a hungry team that their desire was to do well. And I think we're going to have a great season. And Ange, for me, has been a revelation. I'm so happy he's at Tottenham. I'm really.
Has he united the fan base, do you think, to the most part, Dermot? Have you been impressed with, the way he's conducted himself throughout the summer?
I think he has. I think he has united the fan base in a way. We think we're seeing Tottenham, the Tottenham we want to see. The front-footed football, like we saw yesterday against Shakhtar Donetsk. It was just front-flowing. It was that second half was the best I've seen at White Hart Lane for a good few years. And the players are buying into it too. James Maddison said in an interview there a few days ago, all the players are bought into it. All the players are bought into Ange's vision. He knows what he wants. He's very direct with the players. And I think that's what the players needed. Conte, as good as Conte was and Jose was, big serial winners, I think that their type of football and their management style went against some of the players, I think. And I think if you got like Conte given out to Richarlison for 2 hours in front of the other team, that really will, you lose players like that very quickly. I think Ange's bought a United dressing room, which then reflects onto the crowd. Then a United dressing room brings out a United club. We're all going in the one direction. And look, I just think it's going to be a great season. I cannot wait for next Sunday. So looking forward to it.
Speaking of next season, then, Dermot, take me through your season predictions. Where are Spurs finishing?
I'm going to put it out there. I reckon third or second. I reckon we're going to be a surprise next season. We're going to surprise a lot of people next season. They're not going to see the Tottenham. They're going to expect the same.
What's going to be different between last season and this season? And also, why is it that maybe Spurs, because that's a real dark horse, why is that Spurs will be such dark horses?
I think because we've got the right mentality. We have the right players. We have the right. We're playing the Tottenham way, like we did on the Poch. And I know people are going to say, "Oh, fourth or fifth." Well, why low? We always got to aim high at Tottenham. So let's just aim for it. Look, we may finish fourth or fifth, but look, I reckon top three. I reckon we can, because we're playing more of the way that we used to play, and what we saw yesterday and this pre-season has been great. So. Yeah, that's fucking.
Not even what you've been smoking, Dermot. What you've been eating.
No, what I've been smoking actually as well. Eating, yeah, and I need to lose some weight. I do agree.
No, I think you'll need something else. I think you're on the stronger stuff. You're on the stronger stuff.
I know.
Tell me your surprise of the season, Dermot, and your disappointment of the season.
I think the surprise of the season will be to see Emerson actually progress as a player and show us he is the player that we think he can be. Also, Destiny, and also Højbjerg being there at the end of the season as well. I would love Højbjerg to be there. I don't want them to go. Højbjerg, if you're watching, just hide. Go into a cupboard somewhere and just come out for the games. I don't want Højbjerg to go. That's my surprise. Disappointing of the season. Probably to see Eric Dyer or Sanchez named in the team.
Agree. Whoever said that was Tyler or Daniel was spot on about that. I do think that is the disappointment of the season.
Look, if it's a League Cup game and we have to, then yeah, we have to, but we shouldn't have to because it's one game a week. But that'd be the disappointing season. But for me, yeah, I'm just so looking forward to this season. Top 5 for the Champions League, we can aim for that. And I think we'll win a cup as well. I don't know which one, but we'll win a cup as well. I think Ange will bring us to glory. He's done it up in Celtic. He's won everywhere he's gone, but he does it the Tottenham way. And that's what we've been wanting for a long, long time.
If 2 or 3 of these predictions go our way, Dermot, I will absolutely be happy clapping my ass off next season. I am looking forward to that. I don't even need all of these predictions to go our way. I just need 1 or 2 of these, and I will be absolutely rolling in the happy claps. But Dermot,
I'll be joining you. I will be in the happy clap. I will be joining you.
I know you're ready to. It sounds like it. Tell us about your channel, though, my friend. I know you've been working very, very hard.
Yeah, if you like what I have to say, you can join me and Philip and Mia when she pops on over at THFC Till I Die. We've got Newsbeat every day at 4. We've got the podcast every Friday and the debate show Saturday. This Thursday, we're doing a preview of the Premier League. There's a few of us going on. I think you or Dave was coming on. I think I said to Dave about it, but I'll send you a WhatsApp about it in the week, Jack. Where Spurs are going to finish, who's going to win the Cups, who's going to be relegated, who's going to be in the Champions League. And we've got Around the Grounds on Saturday where we go over every league around the grounds and just a bit of fun. And then Sunday we're back for the watch along the Tottenham games. I cannot wait.
Season gets kicked off. Yeah, exactly right.
Well, thanks for having me on, Jack. It's been always a pleasure as always. I love coming on to these fan shows. And look, we are the mighty Tottenham Hotspur, but we are back and we are bigger and better than we'll ever be. And come on, let's go. Let's crack on and bring Ange. Branch will bring us to glory.
Love that. Mighty Ange, we trust. Thank you to you, Dermot. Thank you to you, sir. And I'll be speaking to you tomorrow at some stage.
Yep. Okay. Look forward to it, Jack. Take care and come on, you Spurs.
See you, brother. Have a good night.
See you later. You too now. Bye-bye.
All right. Everybody check out THFC Till I Die. Show Dermotron some love. He's been working very, very hard this summer. I think he went a little early on those Harry Kane news at one stage, but at the same time, he was a guy that was jumping on it straight away. He's been keeping his pulse or keeping his hand or his finger, whatever it is at this stage. I think we've been going 3 hours, losing my words. He's been keeping his fingers on the pulse of the news. Check out THFC Till I Die, please. Plenty of familiar faces that you'll be checking out over there, but we are going to finish off with a closer here, Mr. Ribsy. Looking forward to this. Ribsy, we haven't chatted in a while.
Yeah, man, it's been a bit. I haven't been on since last season, I guess. Maybe the end of the season.
Maybe I was going to say, I felt like last time it was like some sort of season review, doom and gloom. You know, you were you were breaking down everything that was wrong with the Tottenham Hotspur.
That's right. Yeah, I can do both extremes. I can do super happy, or I can do the world's on fire. I can't do anything in between. So we'll see how we go today, because that's sort of where we're at the moment, aren't we?
Yeah, it is the stage that we're at. And do you want to start with maybe the game that you just watched, like against Shakhtar? Do you want to talk about the news that have broken out today?
I'm gonna be completely honest. I didn't see the Shakhtar game because in Australia we had the games in Asia were on a stream provider called Paramount Plus, but the games Shakhtar and Barca aren't on that. So I didn't want to buy the Spurs access or whatever it's called for just 2 matches. So I've seen the highlights, but yeah, I haven't seen the actual game. So I'm happy to talk about it if you want. But
let's talk about Harry Kane. Is he staying? Is he going?
Sure.
If he's boarding that Barcelona plane, what does that mean? Dermot seemed to think that could still mean he could leave, but I think if he's boarding the Barcelona plane,
right? He could leave on deadline day. You know, who knows if they come in with like an insane, there's a certain point where, you know, as much as it's a football team to us, you know, to the people running the club, it's a business, and I don't begrudge them too hard that fact. And if they come in with the kind of money that you can't say no to, it's not like we can't make a half decent, punt at the season even without Harry. I don't think, especially with a manager like Ange that is the kind of guy that sort of brings a team together, and that sort of adversity might even help them out in some way. So I don't want Harry to go. I'm a massive Harry Kane fan. I think just about anyone who watches football is a Harry Kane fan, and if you're not, what's wrong with you? But look, if he's got to go, then it's got to be that kind of money where you're like, well, I can't say no to this. So, at that point, then sure. But if he goes earlier than that, then hopefully it's in some kind of deal where we've organised a reasonable replacement or some other solution for it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he'll go. Honestly, I don't.
Do you feel like Harry Kane, even if he has made his own deadline, right? Where he said, if I suit up against Brentford, that sort of means I don't want to be sold, because he then thinks he's doing Postecoglou a disservice. He's sort of doing the club a disservice if he ends up sort of, sticking along, that far and then ends up leaving sort of last minute. But
yeah,
is Harry Kane the guy that, is probably still going to end up leaving on a free? Do you think he's still thinking about being convinced? I sort of feel like he's a Spurs fan who happens to be one of the best strikers in the world. Like if you happen to be Ribsy, the best striker in the world, and also we're a huge Spurs fan, I think you'd be a bit conflicted like he is right now, where it's like, do I want to go through the 5th, 6th rebuild that I feel like I've had here at Spurs? Do I even trust this one to be better than the others? And also, do I want to play with some of these top of the line players like, the Real Madrids, the Bayern Munichs of the world? Because that's maybe where I belong. That's how good I am. I deserve to play with these type of guys. But you're also kind of like, I'm a Spurs fan still, and I want to win something with Spurs. I think that's why it's probably, I know Dermot said earlier, Spurs fans just want clarity. They just want to be, told what the situation is. I'm like, I think Harry Kane is very much torn between both sides, because his heart wants Spurs and maybe his head thinks that he should probably try something different.
Yeah, and on top of that, I mean, I don't think anyone really has clarity at this point, because if we had clarity, he'd either be sold or we'd be told he was staying. So it's still something that's being negotiated at this point, I would suggest. And unfortunately, sometimes we just don't know, what's going to happen until it happens. And I think this is one of those situations where Harry Kane probably knows there's a possibility he'll go. He knows there's a possibility he'll stay. And I think Sonny a couple of weeks ago in an interview said something similar. And it's just the way it is sometimes. If they come in with crazy money and the club is like, well, we didn't want to sell you, Harry, but, they've come in with an insane bid. If you want to go, then this is something that'll move us to that, And then it's up to him to make that decision. I kind of agree with what Ali Gold's been saying, though, in that I can't, if Harry does want to raise his profile to that sort of next tier and put him in the absolute, legends of the game tier, I'm not sure that the German league is the place to do that. I know that I'm an Australian, so, in terms of my understanding of European football leagues is not exactly the same as it would be if I lived in Europe. But I think everyone pretty much agrees that the English Premier League in 2023
is the Super League, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. It's the best league in the world, and if
it's
you
the
want
most
to be
watched,
the best
it's the
striker
highest
in the world,
competition, highest players, highest standards, best managers. It has everything. It does.
Yeah, and ideally we'd be in Europe for him, and that doesn't help. So, I understand if he does want to go somewhere where they've got Europe, but I just can't see him leaving for the Bundesliga. I mean, it might happen, but if he leaves for the Bundesliga and he gets Champions League and then he goes and wins the fucking Polka Cup or whatever the hell it's called, who cares? That's not going to be a star on his jersey. That's going to be, nothing.
It's a big gamble on the Champions League in his case. I think everybody respects him automatically if he wins the Champions League outright with Bayern Munich. I think the whole trophies thing then get thrown away. All those sort of questions go away because only so many people win the Champions League. It feels like it is almost even more elusive in a way than actually a domestic title. I know the Premier League is also very difficult to win because it feels like you just have to play for Man City or Liverpool probably in order to win it there. But it does seem like, you can grab a domestic title for a Bayern, you can grab one for Real Madrid. And if you had the chance to be able to move to a Man City or a Liverpool, you'll likely get one if you stay there long enough. But it is the Champions League. Premier League teams even struggle to win the Champions League because there's just all these banana peels. There's all these VAR decisions and things that happen that ultimately lead to what can be like a Benfica, like making a semifinal or whatever it was, right? This most recent season, and just sort of stuff like that can happen. And it then means that I think the Champions League is such a gamble. Like Bayern Munich have been quite successful at always making it very far in the Champions League, but even they themselves have not made it as far as they would like in kind of the last 2 or 3 seasons or so. So I think that's what he's gambling on there. And perhaps Tommy Tuchel has given him a very convincing speech over dinner. I guess that's what we were told, is that he went over to Harry Kane's house. Harry Kane made him sauerkraut and bratwurst, I guess.
Can you imagine anything worse than sitting down to dinner with Thomas Tuchel and having to be in his house for like hours or whatever? Or
well, I guess you invited him to your house is the scenario, is how the Bayern press put it.
Yeah. No.
I don't know. It feels like too, even the scene is weird of like him like driving into London, you know, pulls into like his driveway or whatever too, like, and he steps out of the car. What does he hug like Harry Kane's missus? Does he shake her hand? You know, all
does he bring a little gift for his kids? Like, you know,
it just seems like the most awkward sort of meeting of any kind. I believe there could have been plenty of phone calls. Maybe they were doing some late night texting between each other, Tommy Tuchel and Harry, but a dinner with red wine and everything served, I don't know. That just seems a bit bizarre. Maybe they met at like a Shake Shack or something.
That's it. Yeah. They got a kebab somewhere or something. Took about 8 minutes.
Exchange some words. Do you want to have some season predictions? Is there maybe some things that have been kind of bothering you? Because I know we haven't spoken a long time, Ribsy. So maybe before I ask you some season predictions, something that's been bothering you maybe about Spurs, maybe some rants that you've been saving or something like that? No?
Not really. I mean, I'm going to save my rants for when the season starts. I mean, I'm unhappy we haven't been able to offload a few of those players that are just sitting in the stable now. But I understand it. I mean, who's going to buy them? I mean, people are saying, oh, you haven't sold Eric Dyer and stuff. I mean, what kind of a crazy football club would buy Eric Dyer? And why would he leave? The kind of club that wants to buy him is going to pay him, what, $2,000 a week or something when we're paying him absurd money. He's not going to leave with the money we're paying him. Not that it's even that high compared to our wage bill, but no other club is going to pay him to play football like we pay him. And we're just going to have to sit on him until he goes. And it just means that we as fans have to do everything we can to stop them from renewing his contract.
Absolutely. Well, I'm afraid no one wants to admit it that are part of the Eric Dyer PR machine, but I personally believe he's pulling a Sanchez here, which is he knows the likeliness of him getting the exact wages that he wants at the next club is very slim. The standard that he's playing at, you know, is not going to be met. He's going to be playing at a much lower standard. The facilities are going to be different. He's probably going to likely have to leave the country, or maybe leave, you know, his beautiful farm chateau that he has sort of outside of London somewhere. And I'm afraid he's probably doing what Sanchez has done, which is sort of just hold himself hostage, see out his contract, and just continue to say the lines of, no, I'm always here to, you know, try my best for Spurs. I'm always trying to impress the manager.
Scattered at the lane, you know. Come on,
but
man.
Sanchez said the same thing. Like people, like when people say, "Oh, like people shouldn't get so hard on Sanchez for denying the move to Russia," it's like, yeah, like I don't blame Sanchez for denying of all the moves he's been given opportunities for. I don't blame him for not taking that one. But to say that he hasn't rejected moves in the past is untrue. He's been given opportunities to leave this club, and he's decided not to. And even times when Conte has shown him the door. Remember, he sort of said, "No, I'm here to try to prove my worth under Conte. I'm really excited." You know, and I'm really like how Conte's used me. And it's like, what do you mean how he's used you? He's used you on the bench for the majority of the season as a backup. So in my opinion, Eric Dyer saying, I want to prove my worth under Ange and I want to prove whatever. It's just him just saying, I want to see out the rest of this year, this contract. I don't care who comes in for me. I want to, you know, guarantee, you know, my own sort of, I don't know, just wants to see it out, I guess. And it's also a damning indictment that no Saudi Arabian club has offered any sort of bid for any of our players, like of any kind. That's a real damning indictment too. Yes, it's because they're trying to improve the league. To be fair, they're not trying to worsen it. Maybe a quick sort of rant. A quick rant that I had for you was maybe. I know probably people have gotten sick to death of it, but might as well end on an even more Højbjerg sort of a rantage. Dave this season has said a lot about how Højbjerg will be a bigger loss than people say. A lot of people have said, oh, well, Højbjerg won't fit the system. We could probably get rid of him now. Like, it won't be that big of a deal. Dave has made a big case that it would be a huge loss, that we need to find an upgrade on Højbjerg if we were to sell him. And two, that maybe this most recent game, I know it was covered in whether Kane would stay, whether Kane will go. What do you think of Højbjerg's future? Was that his last game in a Spurs shirt? Could he be leaving?
Well, here's the thing about Højbjerg, right, is that we got him for a good price for the kind of player that he is and what we needed at the time. I don't think we paid much for him. So he's always going to be someone that is available for us to sell, right? Because we're going to make a profit on him. You know, even if we don't sell him for much, we're going to make a profit on him. So I think that I think that he could play fine in the system. I think that I think Ange has identified pretty well that if Højbjerg does the wrong thing, he can tell him that, and he doesn't seem like the kind of guy that's going to throw his toys out.
Probably
of the pram.
Receives criticism well. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that he's happy. I think Højbjerg is also the kind of guy who's happy to give criticism to other players as well when they're not doing the right thing. So I think it's only fair that when Højbjerg does the wrong thing, and whether you agree with with what obviously what he did led pretty much directly to a goal. So you could it's probably not the right thing to do, but that's it. It's preseason friendly. As Ellie was saying, he was sort of he was getting into a tight position, and that's where his brain went. That's this decision he made. So, it wasn't the worst idea, I suppose, to put it upfield. But Ange was like, clearly, that's not what we're trying to do. So, play the way I need you to play, and do it automatically. Don't do it because you think I should want you to do it this way. Do it because that's the way your brain goes immediately when you're in this situation. You do the thing that I've told you to do. So he did.
But if you make an example of a player, he's not the worst player to make an example of. You think
exactly
he would receive it well?
Yeah. I think so. I don't know the man, but he just seems he's he's a stalwart. He's a stoic sort of dude, and I think that he's the guy where if he does the wrong thing and you tell him in no uncertain terms that he's done the wrong thing, he just internalizes that and goes, okay, well, next time I'll, let's see if I do that again. But obviously this conversation is going to be in my head. So, that's all part of the learning process. And I think that Ange is a smart enough people manager to know those guys who he can call out and who he can't. Mm-hmm. I think that if you're going to have someone who can accept a bit of criticism, then maybe some other players will take that criticism, by connection with Højbjerg as opposed to having to receive it themselves, then that's a useful tool to have as well. So
it's probably why even he's won the favor of so many managers, is because there are a lot of players who have probably a very high opinion of themselves because they're quite good, and they probably deserve to have a pretty high opinion of themselves because they are such good footballers. But he's probably more on the opposite spectrum, where he's kind of a guy that's probably quite self-critical, maybe a bit more on kind of the reserved, humble type of side, who will have a 9 out of 10 match, but will constantly compliment everybody else, type of player. And and he is, what we've said before, probably one of the most parched guys in the whole team. Just sort of wins over the managers, that sort of thing. But compared to an Eric Dyer, I think it's less imposter. It's less sort of like trying to win over the managers so that he can stick around, so that he can save his own ass. I think it's just Højbjerg's, whether you think it's annoying, whether you think it's commendable, it's just part of his nature. It just seems to be the guy that he is. But I have a feeling he is tempted by Diego Simeone type, connection, because if he's received, let's say, phone calls like Harry Kane has from, a pretty big name manager in a similar way, I would imagine he's quite tempted. And he's never been well loved really at Spurs. Of course, he's had people like Ellie who, do their very best to try to make him feel well loved here, but he's been a divisive player. Even Declan Rice, whatever, said to him, like, nobody likes you and things like that. It's just, I don't know. I feel bad for Højbjerg. And if he ever sort of felt like maybe I'll be more appreciated someplace else. I wouldn't, I don't want him to think that. I don't want him to think about it that way. But if he were thinking about it that way, I could see why.
Yeah, when he was playing under Jose with us, I think he was quite, because we were playing 4 at the back, and he was playing that sort of anchor role or whatever you want to call it, where he was coming back and making those cover tackles and stuff. He was a little bit of a folk hero then, I think. But you're quite right. Ever since that first season, really, he's sort of been slowly falling more and more out of favor.
Do you want to talk about just quickly another midfielder, Lo Celso? I have been proven, or I don't know, proven yet, but I'm getting close to being proven very wrong on the guy. I've absolutely torn into him multiple times in the past, and he's undergoing some type of redemption arc, I feel like, right now. And it's the one that I do not expect.
Yeah, he's always been a good player. I don't think any of us have gone, Lo Celso is a terrible player. It just didn't seem like he was interested in playing for Spurs all that much. And he's one of those players where it's difficult to sort of nail down where you want to put him, because, left-footed midfielder, he plays on the left a lot for Argentina, right? And we were trying to, I don't know what we were trying to do with him. We were playing him as like a little playmaker sort of position out of holding midfielder for a while, and we're doing all sorts of things.
Over the place.
Yeah, so I don't know. If you can find somewhere where he's comfortable and he wants to play, and he's excited to make it happen, then there's a player there. Like he's a good player, and he's fast. He can take a penalty. That's nice. If we get into a shootout, I don't know what can he. Does he take corners? I've seen him take corners before. They weren't that great.
That's what I remember. It's just how at one stage I felt like he couldn't kick a ball like 6 feet off the ground, but maybe that was just some sort of thing that was going on.
Yeah. But to be fair, we've all got such great memories of Eriksson, and I remember him taking just duds of corners for like half a season there as well. So I don't know. Like everyone said, out of the players that we need to move on in this club, Giovanni Lo Celso, or however you're supposed to pronounce it, is not the most important one to move on. I think that if he ends up being a midfield option for us to come on after Madison's run out of legs or whatever, then sure. I mean, we could do worse. We could do a lot worse. So,
I was going to say another sort of random question about maybe certain players is, before we give you some season predictions, Jed Spence, Tanguy Ndombele, I guess, have both been put on the transfer list, according to a source today. What do you make of that?
Well, I mean, I do get Spence, simply because of the amount of fullbacks we have now. And he's not really a fullback anyway, right? He's a wingback, and he can play winger on the right, from what I understand as well. But we've got far better players in that position, between Decky and Charlison and even Porro, who's, I would much prefer to see him on the right wing than Jed Spence. So yeah, look, it's unfortunate because I know that Spurs fans like Jed because his family are Spurs fans, and we wanted to see him under Conte. Conte wouldn't play him. We all got embarrassed a little bit by the fact that we brought this kid in and then we didn't even give him a chance. So I get it, but at the end of the day, I mean, he's not going to get. And it's not because Ange, probably doesn't like him or anything. It's just there's better players ahead of him.
Yeah, I think it's a quality thing.
Yeah,
it might be. I know some people have brought up maybe there might be some attitude issues there. We can only speculate, but I think what we could be certain about is perhaps it's just down to quality, that he just hasn't done enough to convince either Antonio Conte or Ange Postecoglou that he is better than Emerson or better than the other options that are competing there.
Exactly. Where was he in France again?
He was playing for Rennes.
Rennes. He didn't blow the doors off there either, from what I saw. So, I mean, if you can't do it there, and I mean, no disrespect to the French league, but it's not the Premier League. So
he was kind of quickly left out too. Like I put a video out, I think sort of around sort of, I think that it's like 5 or 6 games that basically passed. Like, and I had already kind of noticed that it hadn't been going too well for him, like in his loan spell, because he had not been given, great player ratings by some of the Ren sort of like fan pages. And then too, like if you even looked at some of the highlights of their games, like he was pretty directly responsible for some of the goals that they were conceding. And
yeah,
so
you don't want that.
you don't want that. And it was also in a back 4 too, and it wasn't a back 5. So I think that probably then also told Spurs, well, he's not really cutting it defensively in a back 4. Let's see what he can do under Ange. But if he's not making a great impression, then yeah, it's probably just have to move him out. And also it could be the case he's so young that he doesn't want to just sit here in this limbo of like, am I not good enough? He just wants to probably play football. He seems to be that guy that's just wanted to have minutes the whole time. And
sure,
it's probably the case that maybe he's even, I wouldn't say he's able to force a move. He's not that powerful, I think, within the club, but he's probably just said, listen, there's probably no shot of me getting minutes. Just make a move of some kind for me, please.
No, I mean, in some alternate reality, if we got a bunch of injuries and he ended up playing a bunch of minutes under Conte, who knows? He might have been brilliant. But that was one of those situations where that didn't happen. He didn't get the minutes. And then, this happens sometimes. We've got to have injury backup at the club. And sometimes that involves younger players that probably could use minutes somewhere else. He didn't get them. And then when he went on loan and you saw from the way he sort of called out his old manager online on Twitter when they won the championship.
With Neil Warnock, right?
That's right. Yeah. So obviously, whether he's just cheeky or he's got a bad attitude, one or the other. I mean, at the end of the day, there's certain personality types and attitude types that don't fit in certain, sort of managers' styles. And I'm not sure whether that's a perfect fit for what we're going for at the moment. So
no offense to him, but also maybe even certain levels, like you can have confidence and you can be a bit cheeky and be a bit full of yourself because you're a good player, but you reach then the level of Tottenham Hotspur where you have guys like Harry Kane, Sonny, big name players. Like, you're not going to get away with that sort of confidence and that sort of kind of let's say self-belief. Like, you do have to have a bit more of humbleness and humility about you. And if it was the case that he was complaining like, fair. How am I not being played? I'm this, good, that sort of thing. Like, that's not, it's not going to cut at that sort of level just because people are just going to look at you and feel like, well, you just kind of deal with it, mate. And you just try to prove it. That's just, it's not like, the lower levels of the championship or League One or even lower levels of the Premier League where you're only competing against one guy who might not even be that high of a standard. Like, if we were playing for Spurs, for the most part, you're probably competing against a pretty good player, in that position. And it's pretty ruthless amongst the Spurs fan base, whether we think you're good enough too. And maybe it's just the case he's just not ready for that type of pressure. That type of
it's an interesting one because in that same sort of time when he was with us, and Emerson was really not clicking in that wing back role in the way that we all thought. So everyone was saying, get Spence in. He's a wing back. Let's see what he can do. But at the end of the day, it probably was best that they stuck with Emerson Royale because that game time turned him into what really player. Was quite really impressive later on in the season. So I guess sometimes you kind of have to trust the experts because if we put Jed in, he might have been slightly better to start with, but we might not have got any further with that. And we wouldn't have the Emerson Royale out we have now without that game time. So maybe.
Last point too, right? How much should we start to complain about Porro and his lack of defending when for the whole time we were saying like, oh, we just need an attacking fullback, The moment we put in Porro, everybody was like, throw Emerson right back in, throw him right back in. And that could have happened with Spence. That easily could have been the case with Spence, that he would have been conceding some
he's
goals.
A liability. He's got no brain for defending. It's like, all right, well, you can't.
Could have easily
there's
happened.
Very few players of both, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm gonna still need to drag some some season predictions out of you, Ribsy. Yep. Where are we finishing? It's been all over the place tonight. I've heard second, I've heard third, I've heard eighth.
I'm going to pour some cold water on it. I'm happy if we finish at our previous season level or better. So I'd like for us to get back into some form of Europe. I know that'll be annoying having, Romanian away days and stuff, but I want to see us back in Europe, and I want to see a positive sort of response from where we finished last season. I don't think we're going to get top 4. If we get 5th, I think somewhere between 5th and 8th will be where we end up.
Me too.
I'll be pretty happy with 5th. I mean, I'll be really happy because it's Champions League this season, right? But but if it's 8th, it's 8th. It's we just have to accept that some of these seasons we just have to go in with a slightly lower expectation and just see where we build from it. And the players will probably perform better without us expecting, such enormous results.
Less pressure, do you think, on them this season? In a sense,
I hope so. I know everyone's excited about Ange, and I think that Ange is going to have them playing much more positive football. But I think it's disingenuous to think that we're going to get instantly better results out of Ange Postecoglou than we got out of Jose Mourinho and Antonio Conte, who are, with no disrespect to Ange, and obviously I'm Australian and I love the guy, but let's face it, those guys are high performing top end managers who have won all sorts of things, and to expect a better result out of the Australian guy you got from the Scotland League is maybe a little rough on the guy, maybe, but I think if the players are happier and the fans are happier to watch the type of football we're going with, and over the next few transfer windows we start to really fix the team up in terms of the positions we need, I think we can get back to where we were. But I don't think it's going to happen immediately, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm sort of, and also maybe just as a follow-up, do you see the season starting slowly? Do you see it being like we just hover around 5th and 6th and 7th like the whole time? Do you see us starting hot, falling short, middle of the period, getting back hot again? What type of season is it? Is it like linear? Is it, all over the place? How do you see it?
I expect the first game to be like the first preseason game against West Ham, where we will get all the chances and we'll keep missing, or something like that, and it's going to be frustrating to a lot of fans. But it's just one of those things where eventually it'll click and all those sort of half chances will turn into goals once the players start trusting it a bit more. But I think you'll see a lot of possession, but you'll also see annoying goals where they're getting behind us, or just soft ones off corners because we're not
out of nowhere.
The brain's just switched off after 80 minutes of attacking. And it's there's going to be some frustrating moments. And if you look at Ange's history, that's the sort of thing that happens. It takes a little while for it to click, and I don't think preseason games are giving us anywhere near the sort of the proper example of the game, because it's just a different sport when you're playing a friendly, and especially when you're playing the River City Sailors or whatever they were, that
the Pirates. When I heard last time.
I mean, good on them. I mean, whatever. We're gonna have some football, but
good on them. They scored against us. I mean, the moment they scored, the opening goal, I kind of sort of felt like they earned enough respect, from us straight away for that. Embarrassed us in that fact.
Yeah, but it was we should have got the game. We didn't get the game in Thailand, did we, because of the rain? So yeah, we're a little undercooked. Maybe we'll see what happens against Barcelona, and then Brentford are a good team, man. As much as we should be beating the pants off teams like Brentford.
Yeah, that's where I'm also slightly worried with Big Ange, is that he's a smart manager. He's a great manager, but he hasn't had enough experience coming up against these other great managers that also aren't like him, that stick with the same sort of tactics. Like, I particularly think Thomas Frank, I know Thomas Frank hates Jose Mourinho and he would hate this comparison, but I think he's slightly similar to Jose in that I've seen him line up 4 different ways, in games. I've seen Thomas Frank put every single man behind the ball against Man City. And then in a game against us, you've seen him press, all the way up, high up the pitch. And they're trying to win the ball back up to make us force mistakes. And He's a guy that seems to sort of study his opponent and then kind of picks a way to sort of kind of hurt, maybe take out their sort of their strengths, expose the weaknesses kind of guy. And Ange Postecoglou, no matter how beautiful his system is to watch, there will be its weaknesses and there will be its sort of like, pressure points that you can try to put on. And it'll be interesting how he handles that. A guy like a Thomas Frank that is going to like do what even that Shakhtar manager was doing, some balls over the top, some quick counterattacks. And I even, was thinking about some of those balls over the top. It's like, if that was instead of it being a 17-year-old Ukrainian, chasing out, onto that, what if that was Brian Mbeumo or somebody like a Wisa who, has punished us in the past, right?
Sure. And that's it. I mean, you're going to have moments like that. We're going to have games where it feels like, we've got all the ball and doing all the right things, but where, it's 3-3 and we're, 80 minutes through and it feels like they've had 2 attacks and 3 goals,
Mm-hmm.
But that's
like the West Ham game,
exactly. So that's going to happen. But the longer it goes on, as long as, we don't get too much in the way of injuries and such, what I'm worried about is like Bielsa's Leeds sort of situation where you pretty much run the team completely into the dirt and everyone's either hurt or injured or completely out of gas. And, I'm worried that we're going to get a situation like that, but I don't feel like Ange pushes them quite as hard as that. It's not like the drill sergeant sort of thing, but who knows? We'll just see it as it comes.
And then surprise of the season, disappointment of the season.
Surprise of the season, I think, is going to be Manor Solomon. I think he's going to get more football than people
expect.
Yeah, I think that. I think you're going to see him coming on in the second half a lot at the start, and then you're going to see him getting starts as people get tired and there's a couple of injuries and stuff. And he has, like, his longer range shots are obviously good, and pair that with Maddison and they'll be knocking the ball to each other and having a crack. But also, as we saw in that the Shakhtar game, it was Solomon's longer shot that got the goalie parried and Harry was right there to tap it in. Mm-hmm. And that you'll see that kind of thing, I think, because he's got a good power and he's shot from long range, and hopefully he can get some loose balls in there. And people were talking about efficiency in which
before, he did that, though, right?
Thing. Yeah, it was absolutely. So
it was like his first touch. It was like his first or second touch, and he was like, "All right, well, there's a ball."
Bashed it on target. Yeah, exactly. It's brilliant. So that I like that. And as much as I love Sonny, everyone loves Sonny, right? But you do find that he's trying to find that perfect position to get that beautiful shot in, which is great, because he's so brilliant at that. But sometimes, maybe a little bit of a less of a finesse weapon and more of a blunt instrument, and just bash the ball at the goalie. And sometimes you get a goal, and it's, you miss all the shots you don't take, right? Another ice hockey reference. But
it even felt like too, though, that Solomon takes on his man a bit more dynamically than at least Son has, at least this preseason. From what we've seen, Solomon has, I think, been more successful at just getting past his man and kind of creating something from there. Sonny's found it harder, it feels like, this preseason at least, to sort of take it past his man, create a shot, create a goal. I feel like his passing has actually been pretty great, Sonny. I think he's actually had some nice link-up play with others, but maybe the difference between him and Solomon, when I think of it, is Solomon's just been pretty good at just creating space for himself and just having a shot or, laying it off to somebody else. Whereas Sonny is like, there have been plenty of times where he's received the ball in great positions and then, doesn't end up doing very much with it. Whereas I would say Solomon's been a bit more productive with the times that he's actually gotten it in those positions.
Yeah, I mean, once again, preseason stuff. I mean, we can only read so much from it, but you're right. I mean, he's here to impress, and in a similar way that how Decky was in his first 6 months coming in, he was, and to a point, Bentancur as well. They want to show that they're here and they're ready to play and that they're impressive and all that sort of thing. And it does tend to fade a little bit over time. So we'll see. It's I think that he's going to be the surprise though, and
then disappointment too.
I'm gonna pick someone a little bit more. I'm gonna be mean, and I hope I'm wrong. But for all this talk about Yves Bissouma, and I love the guy, and I really hope it's brilliant, but they're setting up a huge expectation for how this guy's going to play.
I love it. Main character season is going to go away. Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to get injured in like game 3 or something, and then something like that. It's I think that it's actually an easy call to make because everyone's like expecting so much out of him now, and he's got the new number and so on and so forth. So I can pretty much claim I'm right no matter how well he does, unless he wins. Like
I know what you mean. It's like a big birthday party that just like everybody's like, oh, it's gonna be great. Like everybody's gonna have a great time, and then just something happens that like.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope he's brilliant. But
I like that one. That's definitely another one I hadn't heard today, for sure. And also, this one has been easy for some. It's kind of obvious for some. Do you have any bold predictions on this one, or do you kind of just feel like it's Kane at Madison?
Bold. Well, I mean, Kane and Madison's the obvious one, right? So,
yep.
I'm gonna go. You know what though? I'm gonna be, just to be weird, I'm gonna say.
I heard Udoji for most assists. That's what Ellie said.
I'm gonna go with Porro, provided he gets the games. Scorer's Kane if he's here. Obviously, I think we're gonna get more penalties this season than we have previously as well. Like Madison seems to be pretty good at picking those out. So I think Kane's probably going to get a lot of penalty shots. But yeah, no, whatever. Porro, Doggy, or Madison, Son or Solomon, Becky. I mean, it's all possible. Harry could get it himself. All right, why not? I'll just say that Harry gets both again. Before.
That'd be actually. I was actually waiting for someone to give that answer too. Like maybe Harry has that Jose Mourinho type season again, where he ends up actually just balling out in every single category, and really shows that he can fit the system. I guess that's also a possibility. Lazy 8 saying, "I'm planning to get Bissouma kit ribsies." You're right.
Oh, sorry, dude. No, I'm wrong more than I'm right. If that helps. So.
That too, though, I would say is I did get the Richarlison kit last season, so I'm maybe going to avoid getting any sort of ribsies predictions, so I don't have to get, because I bought the disappointment of the season kit last season, which was Richarlison. He absolutely was the disappointment of the season. John throwing in a super chat here. Big up to you, my friend. He says, cheers all. Can't wait for things to get rolling this weekend. Let's go. It's season prediction time, John. Hopefully we get Dave back by Wednesday to get some of his big and bold predictions. And it's also just that time where we sort of have to prepare ourselves mentally for getting ready for that pain roller coaster, that dramatic roller coaster that is Spurs. And I know Ange is going to be providing, much more entertaining football, but I imagine there will still be those, highs and lows that we as a fan base have to get through together. And I know this channel and plenty of people in this community, we do a pretty good job at sort of tearing each other down, keeping each other up, in the best of moments. So big up to you, John. I look forward to going through the chaos with you once again, like with everybody else. Look forward to it. Big up to you, my man. Thanks for your support. Any kind of final words before we wrap this whole puppy up here, Ribsy? Any kind of final thoughts?
No, but if you somehow work for some other club and you have some control over, not you, Jack, but anyone that's watching, control over purchasing players. Seriously, we've got like, we've got a garage sale going on at the moment of players out of favor. We've got tons here. Just any offer will probably get them away. So come and get Sanchez and Ndebele and whatever, 2-for-1 special or whatever.
Literally take any of them, and we'll
White
hopefully.
even.
We'll probably find some sort of a agreement on it, because I just at this stage with only so many weeks left, I don't even know if Levy can even reasonably ask for as much as he probably would like to. He's just going to have to turn it into a garage sale, a fire sale of some kind. Everybody, I think we'll leave it there, though. It's been a fun evening. Dave will be back Wednesday, like I said. Ripsy's closed it out with me here. Please hit the like button if you can for me. Leave a comment down below if you're watching this back. And we will be seeing you. Look out for some content tomorrow, because we are going to be playing Barcelona, by the way, in case you've forgotten. I have to get ready for that too. and we'll be seeing you. Come on, you Spurs. In the mighty Ange I trust. Big up to you, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sticking with me for so long. King Hoddle, Free Assange, Brad Matthews, Tyler, MS Sanford, all of you guys in the chat here, Jay Keaveney, Tequila316, you absolute legend. So many of you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sticking with me. And yeah, look out for content tomorrow. We're going to be building the watch along, giving you the post-match reaction, all that good stuff for the match day content. And also to everybody, if you are a member, join the fantasy league, and there's going to be plenty of other stuff coming your way for all those member benefits that you do have. But I will be seeing you. Come on, you Spurs, and the big Ange I trust. Bye, everybody.